soap and scalding hot water. Now, I might get in trouble for saying this, but you know who was great at washing his hands? Joseph Stalin.
Fantastic.
Right?
By the way, the market's
Agreed.
up now close to 740 points. So everything. Quick announcement. I'm going to be at the Houston Baptist University. Houston Baptist University. I'm going to be there March 5th, this Thursday, for the Bush 41 Foundation. It's really for the library. You got to make a reservation, but it doesn't cost anything. We'll sell books at the site. Sam Houston, the Alamo Avengers, going back to Houston only makes sense. Then on March 6th, going to the Sam Houston Memorial Museum the next day in the afternoon. Just go to briankilme.com for more information. Same thing, just make reservations there. I hope to see everyone out there. Sam Houston, the Alamo Avengers, still out, still selling extremely well. The Texas victory that changed American history. Should we find out if there's even more to know?
More to know.
Just when you thought Twitter was a no man's land for anybody conservative, billionaire Republican Paul Singer buys a major Twitter stake. Keep in mind, yeah, he was against Trump for a while, but he seems to be won over, and now it might be a friendlier place for Republicans to go. I'll be very curious to see if that's anything happens there. Next, Judge Judy will end her reign after 25 years as Judge Judy. She's got a new show rolling out. That's it for her and CBS. She was making $47 million a year as Judge Judy. Is that unbelievable to you?
It is. I mean, her show has been so popular for forever, but I can understand it's time that she wants to, try something new. And we don't know if it's going to, right? We don't know where the new one's going to air, correct?
She loves Bloomberg, too, by the way. I'm not too sure if that means anything. Sad news, Jack Welch started out with nothing. Railroad Sun conductor, one of the most famous, most successful CEOs in the history of our country, has passed away at the age of 84. 20 years leading GE. They went from a $12 billion company to a $410 billion company. I had a chance to meet him. Great guy. Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Pete. Thanks. Gold has been a measure of wealth throughout history, and with good reason. Gold has never been worth zero. Well, guess what? Now you can have real gold and silver as part of your wealth, either in your retirement accounts or delivered securely to your home by working with the Oxford Gold Group. The Oxford Gold Group, the industry leader in precious metals and the only gold and silver company that I trust. The Oxford Gold Group is offering gold and silver at the lowest price on the market right now. They'll beat any competitor's price on gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. Now, if you want to get financial stability, and I know you do, you need to look into acquiring real gold and silver with the Oxford Gold Group. So call Oxford. Call Oxford today at 833-600-GOLD. Don't gamble with your hard-earned money. Put your money into something safe and secure. Call the Oxford Gold Group at 833-600-GOLD and get your free investment guide right now. That's 833-600-GOLD. Do it today. The Oxford Gold Group. Get an investment guide that could help you, and then call 833-600-GOLD.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who owes back taxes, if you get nervous when the mail comes because you might get a letter from the IRS, then you've heard. Their enforcement agents are cracking down this year and can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk over unpaid taxes. It's all true, but it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. The award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best deal possible, protecting your paycheck and your assets from IRS collections. But don't delay, because the IRS is tacking on interest and hefty penalties every single day. So don't wait until it's too late. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas. KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station. It's news time on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Good morning, I'm John Schaefer. A body was found in a burning vehicle Sunday on Washburn Road west of the 215. Passerby told firefighters someone was in the driver's seat of the car, but the blaze was too intense to try and rescue that person. The car was not involved in any accident prior to the fire. Former Vice President Joe Biden is hoping to ride the momentum of Saturday's big win in the South Carolina primary into Super Tuesday.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is feeling confident heading into Super Tuesday now that he has his first ever primary win behind him.
I think we can win most of the southern states. We're in contention, including in Texas. It's going to be very hard to make up the ground in California, but I think we can make up a lot of ground in California in 3 days.
But Bernie Sanders, who has more money and better outreach, is feeling pretty good too.
We have an excellent chance to win some of the largest states in this country and states all across this country because of the coalition that we're putting together, because of the issues that we are talking about.
Both Sanders and Biden appeared on ABC's This Week. Shelley Adler, Washington.
Las Vegas resort operator stock prices plunging amid the global coronavirus sell-off. MGM Resorts International shares have fallen 21.5% since January 30th. Las Vegas Sands Corporation shares are off 11.9%. Caesars Entertainment fell 7.8%, and Wynn Resorts down 14.7%. The World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern on January 30th. On the ice last night, the Kings beat the Golden Knights 4-1. With a check on our weather, here's News 3's Kelly Curran.
We're looking at a few sprinkles out there early on this Monday morning. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies, breezy conditions throughout most of the day with winds out of the north at 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting to 30. High today, 65 degrees. Keep listening for more updates throughout the day from News 3, your weather authority.
Cloudy, windy, 52 in Las Vegas. I'm John Shapiro on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, Las Vegas' only FM news talk station. With a look at the roads, here's John Michaels.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Staples Stores. An accident with injury still a factor, with emergency crews at the scene at Maryland Parkway, north of Flamingo. And an injury crash active at Las Vegas Boulevard at Charleston. Expect delays there as well. Meanwhile, a nice recovery on the 95 in the West Valley, southbound. Just exhibiting some light volume now between Cheyenne Avenue and Summerlin Parkway. Delay-free entirely out of the Rainbow Curve inbound to I-15. Still slowing on 95 in the East Valley, northbound, from Boulder Highway up to the Spaghetti Bowl. At Staples, there's a whole lot more in store, like a huge selection of ink and toner in stock and at low prices every day. Stock up and save at Staples. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
You know, I've heard the local small business community just loves the DLC. Why is that, Chuck?
Look, small businesses have one goal. That's to get new customers and keep current customers. But sometimes their customers are short on money. That's where we come in. Vets, doctors, dentists, apartment complexes, auto repair shops. Really any small business that sells anything can send their customers to us.
And you hook their customers up with the cash they need. Brilliant. No wonder they send their customers to Dollar Loan Center.
We're also the perfect place to send your employees when they hit you up for an advance on their paycheck or a loan. We're going to treat your staff like family and eliminate that awkwardness of you having to say no.
That was Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center, where you can get up to $5,000 in just minutes, even if you don't have a checking account. We have over 50 locations, or you can apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
President Trump has been exonerated, and now there's something every real American ought to have. Limited edition Trump 2020 American Eagle Silver Dollars. Celebrate Trump's historic victory with limited edition American Silver Eagles, specially priced from government.com. Just call 1-800-895-7664. Hold the weight of democracy in your hand with new, perfect, uncirculated condition Silver Eagle coins. These historic coins, signed into law by Reagan, have been America's money since 1986. To secure your new limited edition Trump 2020 American Eagle Silver Dollar coins, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now and we'll give you a free Trump 2020 Patriots Pack, including a Declaration of Independence commemorative and 5 Lincoln cents when you order. Call now to secure your silver dollar coins. Plus, get your free Trump 2020 Patriots Pack, valued at over $10, free with every order. 1-800-895-7664. That's 1-800-895-7664.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Tape with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, what's up, Vegas? It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, I know you missed us over the weekend. We're back at you. Don't worry. We're here. We're here to stay. Thanks for joining us. Chris Wynn joining us in the building as well.
What's up, Brian?
As it
What's
is
going
a
on?
Monday, man. We
Yes, sir.
got a lot to get to with what transpired over the weekend. We like to call it the weekend roundup. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. But obviously, it was big league weekend. A lot of other things going on. And of course, we have the Mountain West Conference basketball tournament, which actually started with the women already. The men play on Wednesday, and then UNLV plays on Thursday. So the senior associate commissioner, Dan Butterly of the Mountain West, will be joining us. My question to him is, will this always stay in Las Vegas? Will this be at T-Mobile next year? I mean, these are legitimate questions that I think we deserve to know. So he'll be joining us coming up in hour number 3. This is a wild story. We all know the coronavirus is on people's minds. Now, whether you think it's more or less serious than the media is portraying it out to be, well, that's something we'll talk about in hour number 2. But one of the people, an American, who got the virus on a ship from Japan, he has now been separated from his wife. He's sitting in a bed right now. Nobody can go anywhere near him. His name is Carl Goldman. He has agreed to call into the show today. And I told some people yesterday we were having this guy on the show. In studio? Yeah, dummy, in studio. What do you think? Of course not. I don't think you could get the corona. I don't think you could.
I think that was wishful thinking, right, Brian?
I don't think you could get the coronavirus on the phone. But anyway, Carl will be joining us. His story is crazy. He's been through hell, and he has the coronavirus. So he'll be joining us coming up at the bottom of the hour. But I want to start with the big news. At least the big news that took place yesterday, Chris, and that is Pete Buttigieg. The announcement was made. We were at a party yesterday. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Yep.
But yesterday, the afternoon, late afternoon hours, word broke out that Pete Buttigieg had announced that he was ending his candidacy at least in 2020 for the presidency of the United States. My first reaction was something doesn't make sense. That was my first reaction because he's, consistently third, fourth up there. I thought he'd stick around at least till Super Tuesday. But now we're learning some information about why he may have done it. But before I get to that, I want to play you a few clips because he did speak yesterday, and he talked about why he made this decision. So this is Pete Buttigieg in his own words in a speech just a few hours after he announced that he was dropping out.
So tonight, I am making the difficult decision to suspend my campaign for the presidency. I will no longer seek to be the 2020 Democratic nominee for president, but I will do everything in my power to ensure that we have a new Democratic president come January.
I think that's fair. I think he's being honest there. Here's where it gets a little interesting, though, because he kind of takes a jab at Bernie Sanders in this speech. Have a listen to this.
With every passing day, I am more and more convinced that the only way we will defeat Trump and Trumpism is with a new politics that gathers people together. We need leadership to heal a divided nation, not drive us further apart. We need a broad-based agenda that can truly deliver for the American people, not one that gets lost in ideology. We need an approach strong enough not only to win the White House, but to hold the House, win the Senate, and send Mitch McConnell into retirement.
Yeah, he's taking jabs at Mitch McConnell, but if you can really read between the lines here, he's also taking jabs at Bernie Sanders. I don't think anybody should be surprised at that because Pete Buttigieg has really not gone after Joe Biden. He's gone after Bernie Sanders in these debates. And the idea from Pete and many of the other Democrats are we don't need somebody that's crazy lunatic left. We need somebody that's a little bit more moderate.
I don't think he's that extreme, Brian. Look, we understand what Pete Buttigieg's politics are, right, Brian? His politics are more in line with someone like Joe Biden as opposed to someone like Bernie Sanders. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but I'm not. I cannot believe I'm actually going to agree with somebody in the Trump family now, but I actually am. And here's why. Eric Trump appeared on Fox and Friends this morning, and he was questioning Buttigieg's decision just as I was. But his statement here, I want to play it for you, and then we're going to talk about it. This is Eric Trump on Fox and Friends this morning talking about Pete Buttigieg dropping out of the presidency.
Whose soul did he sell to do that, right? I mean,
The fact that Pete Buttigieg goes on for a year, and I know how hard these campaigns are, right? We're all part of a campaign apparatus. He campaigns for a year to 36 hours before Super Tuesday, drop out of the race. What was he promised by the DNC? What was he promised by Joe Biden? I mean, listen, if you're going to drop out, why not just wait that last 36 hours, see how you do in 10 different states? He was promised something.
Here's why I agree with Eric. What we're learning, and by the way, yesterday when I thought about this, my first reaction was kind of what Eric said to an extent. I said, you know what, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody promised him something. Joe Biden, I think it comes down to several different things. Now we know, let me just announce this, that Buttigieg had a conversation with Barack Obama and Joe Biden on the phone. Obviously that phone conversation helped him make his decision to drop out. There's no question about that. Here's what I think. I think it comes down to several things. Either one of these. Either Pete Buttigieg was promised to be Joe Biden's vice president. Don't know if that's true or not. I think that's one of them. Possibly Barack Obama said that he would endorse Pete Buttigieg down the line. That could have been a promise. And/or Joe Biden promised him a position in his administration if he wins. I think they tried to persuade, well, we know that Obama and Biden wanted Pete Buttigieg's endorsement. Biden wanted his endorsement. We know that. What was he promised? Don't know. I will say this, though. For people like Amy Klobuchar, she could eat a salad with a comb 3 days a week for the rest of her life. Get the hell out of the race. The only reason why Klobuchar is in the race now is for one reason and one reason only, ego. She has a tremendous ego. I'm sick of her convulsing and shaking every single time somebody challenges her in a debate. She is not fit to even be a senator. She doesn't even know who the president of Mexico is. Get the hell out of there, Amy. You're hurting your own party. You're hurting the country. Leave. And listen, as far as Elizabeth Warren goes, I have more respect for her than I do Klobuchar, but she should get out of the race too. She has zero chance. This is down to two people, and I know people are going to disagree with me, and they're going to say, Bloomberg. Bloomberg is not going to win. He is not going to be the Democratic nominee for a plethora of reasons. This is down to two people. It is down to Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Period. End of conversation. Bloomberg that's it. He's done. That's what this comes down to. If you're a Democrat, get out of the way, let these two handle this, and let the best man win. That's what it boils down to. I applaud Pete Buttigieg regardless of the reasons. I think he put his ego aside, and he said, okay, it's not going to happen right now. I think he's looking more down the road. He has a great future, I think, in politics. Very smart guy. Pete Buttigieg's not a dumb guy. Say whatever you want about him. He's a smart guy. So, yes, I do think he thought this was also in his best interest. I don't know if he was promised anything and what that was, but we can speculate about that, Chris. But I applaud Pete Buttigieg. I have supported him since the very early days, as you know. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, not just as a veteran who served this country honorably. He's a smart guy. And, yes, I do think it takes courage to do what he did, to be open about your sexuality in this day and age. And people say, well, this day and age, it's accepted. No, it's not. You think it's accepted in Indiana? No, it's not. Just ask our vice president how he feels about gay people in Mike Pence, Indiana, as Buttigieg puts it. So those are my thoughts on that. I think he might have been promised something. Don't know that for sure. What we do know, he had a conversation.
It's pure speculation.
Yeah,
we don't know.
What we do know is that he had a conversation with the former President Barack
100%,
Obama. I would
yes.
imagine Buttigieg, like myself, respects Barack Obama a great deal. I'm sure as a Democrat, Pete Buttigieg admires Barack Obama a lot. And look, I don't know exactly what was said in that conversation. Clearly, Joe Biden and Obama played a role in this. I think we could all agree on that.
I think what we heard there in Eric Trump's comments, by the way, which had an absolute hint of, there was some type of something that was given to Pete Buttigieg for dropping out, I think is absolutely irresponsible to just make that assumption right off the bat. Okay? Why can't we just take Pete Buttigieg at his word that it's his intention to unify the Democratic Party? It's his intention, and it should be everybody's intention that is a Democrat or that is not a Trump supporter or that is not in the GOP to get Donald Trump out of office. That is what we're talking about here. You're talking about what Pete Buttigieg could get in the future or couldn't get. He's out of the race in 2020. Make no mistake about it, Brian. Pete Buttigieg has a monstrous political future, in my opinion. He's somebody who's going to be on the radar for years to come here, particularly in 2024 and 2028. I don't think I'm out of the realm of, I don't think I'm crazy for pointing that out. But, just to say that he's disingenuous, him dropping out of the race is something that I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about I'm talking about Eric Trump. And look, you said you agreed with what Eric Trump had to say.
Well, hold on
you think there was something that was offered to Pete Buttigieg?
Hold on a second. Hold on.
You're not taking him at his word as to why he dropped out of the race?
To this extent, here's where I agree with Eric on.
What do you mean?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to believe, considering the fact, the timing of when he dropped out, along with the fact that he had a phone conversation with Barack Obama and Joe Biden. I don't think it is beyond the realm of possibility to believe that perhaps Obama and Biden promised him something. Now, I named all those things that could have been. We don't know that for sure. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say he might have been promised something. Now, again, that could be, maybe the support of Obama down the road for Buttigieg to be president. It could have been a spot.
He could already have that. Hold
on. It could have been.
That could already be something already in the mix.
It could have been a spot in Biden's cabinet. Maybe not the vice president, but maybe another position. There's a whole wealth of things that they could have promised him. Do I know that for sure? No. But I think the timing of him not waiting until after Super Tuesday, the timing of it, along with the fact that they just had a phone conversation, leads me to believe that it is fair to assume that something Pete Buttigieg is getting out of this thing. That's all I'm saying, and I think that's a very fair opinion to have.
I think the observation of the timing can be misconstrued. And what I mean by that is this. Pete Buttigieg mentioned he wants to unify the party, right? That's the reason he's getting out before Super Tuesday, is because you don't want to siphon off votes from you don't want to siphon off delegates from the people who have an opportunity to win the election. And what I'm talking about, obviously, is Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. And to an extent, because they're still in the race, Elizabeth Warren and Michael Bloomberg. So that can be the rationale for Pete Buttigieg to be getting out before Super Tuesday. The way that Eric Trump described it was that, there had been some kind of offer. Joe Biden or Barack Obama had to, offer him something to basically buy him off, right? To get him out of the race.
Let me just say
because,
this, okay?
Because he's taking votes away from Pete Buttigieg.
While I said that it's fair to say that there could be those possibilities, he could have been promised something, it is also fair to say that Pete Buttigieg could just be doing the right things for his party.
What did I just say? That's exactly what I'm saying.
I know, and I'm saying that it is a possibility that he might have been able to put his ego aside, which I think he's more than capable of doing. He seems like a pretty decent man that would be able to do that. It could have been very possible that he said, you know what, this is a pain in the ass running for president. It doesn't look like I'm going to win. Why wait till Super Tuesday? Let's help out my friend Joe Biden. Give Biden some votes. Obviously, Buttigieg is not a Bernie Sanders guy. We know that. And maybe he just wanted to help his friend Joe Biden. Maybe he used a little bit of humility and said, listen, we want to do whatever we can do to defeat Donald Trump. I think I'm helping my party by doing this. That's very fair, and that's very possible. All I'm saying is when you're on the phone with the former president of the United States and the former vice president, they have a lot of power. Okay, they're powerful people.
Well, Barack Obama is the former president of the United States.
I understand.
Joe Biden was his vice president. They are figures in the Democratic Party.
I understand that.
So
you're making my point for me, and that is why I am saying it's not out of the realm of possibility to believe that they might have promised him something. And again, we've gone through this. It could be anything. It could be a position in Joe Biden's cabinet, which would be probably pretty good for Buttigieg's career. It could be the vice presidency. I don't think Biden's going to choose him as the vice president, but that's possible. And it could have been Barack Obama in 8 years saying, I'm going to support you for president one day. I'm going to endorse you, which would be huge for him. It could be any of those things, and maybe some things we're not even thinking of. The point I'm trying to make is I don't care. I think Pete Buttigieg made the right decision, regardless of whether he was promised something or not.
Yes.
I think it's going to help Joe Biden. I think at this point, Joe Biden is probably the only guy that can beat Donald Trump. It's not Bloomberg. Stop it with this nonsense. People think Bloomberg.
What are you talking, Brian? You're making that statement. The numbers don't pan that out. There's 4 Democrats right now that would beat Donald Trump in a general election.
That's your opinion. I disagree.
That's not my opinion. Those are numbers that are out there, Brian.
Well, the numbers.
Where are the numbers that support what you're saying?
Okay,
you have no numbers to support that.
Here's something
that Donald Trump beats all the Democrats.
Okay, let me respond to that.
Okay, respond.
Here's the numbers that support to what I am saying. Back in 2016,
it's not 2016 anymore.
Let me finish.
But you can't say 2016. It's not 2016 anymore.
Let me finish.
It's 2020, right?
Let me finish.
Okay.
Every number in every poll in 2016 said that Hillary Clinton was going to defeat Donald Trump in a landslide. I don't look at numbers. I look at logic. And logic tells me that the one person that would run against Donald Trump that would actually have a legitimate chance of beating him, and I'm not even sure that would happen, is Joe Biden. So you can give me all the numbers you want. I'm not looking at him because everybody said Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016. Guess what? Hold on.
Okay, no, I'll
hold on.
respond to that.
I looked at those numbers in 2016, and then I had egg on my face because I believed them. And Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate.
Well, not just you. There were millions of people, more people
so stop
that
giving me
thought
numbers
that
then.
Donald Trump was going to win, thought that Donald Trump was not going to
So
win.
stop giving me the numbers then, because they mean crap to
Well,
me.
no, we're before the election right now. We haven't had the election results.
I don't
So
care.
the numbers are something that we can make a viewpoint on.
I will make
you
a
can
bet.
even have a viewpoint
I
on
will
them.
make a bet
It
with
doesn't
you.
mean that they're not true or 100%
Fine.
true.
I will make
but
a bet.
You can absolutely make an observation on it.
I will make a bet with you right
so,
now.
So what you're saying? So Brian, this is what you're saying. You're saying that if Joe Biden is not the Democratic nominee for president,
Trump will
that
be
the
reelected.
Democrats will not win.
Correct.
That's what you're
100%.
saying. I think that's completely ridiculous.
Okay, well, I'll make
it's completely ridiculous.
bet you
I don't
that-
know. How you,
I will bet you whatever. I will bet you a caveman Keno machine right now that is exactly what is
Okay,
going to
we'll
happen.
see. Yeah.
Okay. And
We'll see.
there's a lot of different
But look,
reasons
it could
for
be it could be all for naught though, right, Brian? Because Joe Biden could end up being very well, and as of this point, I think should be considered, which is hilarious because we've been bantering back and forth for the past 3-4 weeks about how Joe Biden is dead. Anybody that's a Trump supporter or yourself,
I didn't count him out.
No, yeah, but Brian, come on, let's be intellectually honest here. There's a lot of people that listen to the station. There's JD, our co-host. There's others, yourself.
Where's
have
JD, by the way?
I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that had Joe Biden dead and buried just a matter of maybe 8 days ago. Okay, we're talking about how Biden was done. He should be out of the race. He's an old geezer who has no shot at all. And now, because Joe Biden wins in an absolute clear landslide in South Carolina, now he's been revived, and people are now Trump supporters and Republicans and obviously Democrats, because Democrats are going to support whoever the Democratic candidate is, are saying, oh yeah, he's back. Here he is. Here's the Joe Biden that we thought we were going to see as we roll towards the Democratic National Convention.
Well, listen, you're not going to change my opinion, and this is my opinion, and that is that Joe Biden gives the Democrats the only chance to defeat Donald Trump, and I'm not even sure that's going to happen. But I do believe Biden can win those battleground states. I think he's the one guy to do it. I think Bernie Sanders is way too extreme, and you keep saying, well, he's not extreme, but in my personal opinion, free college for all is extreme. In my personal opinion, $15 an hour minimum wage
I think
is,
that he's
extreme.
definitely, Brian, he's definitely a left guy. He's definitely someone who, if you want to use the word extreme, he is. You're not going to find somebody that's running right now as a Democrat for the presidential nomination that is more, I guess, quote unquote, extreme than Bernie Sanders. But I just translate it into what it would be if he were president of the United States and what exactly would transpire in Washington, D.C. with him at the helm.
If you're just joining us, he's Chris Wynn. I'm Brian Shapiro. It is the Vegas Take on a Monday. We're talking about the big news yesterday, certainly in the political world, and that is Pete Buttigieg has dropped out of the race. We're giving reasons why he did it. What are the reasonings behind it? Is it just he wants to help his party, or was he promised something from Joe Biden and Barack Obama in a phone call over the weekend? That's what we're discussing coming up here at the bottom of the hour in about 7 or 8 minutes or so. We're going to speak to a man by the name of Carl Goldman. He has contracted the coronavirus on a cruise ship coming from Japan. He has been separated from his wife. He is now in Nebraska bedridden. He cannot see his wife.
He's been quarantined, basically, right, Brian? Is that what's happened here?
This is a serious situation, and we're going to talk to Carl Goldman coming up exclusively here at the bottom of the hour. Also coming up in hour number 2, and this is the hour where I would imagine you're going to want to chime in and call in regards to this subject. We talked last week about Donald Trump Jr. saying that the Democrats were hoping that millions of people died from the coronavirus. Millions. Saying that Democrats wanted millions of people to die. That's basically what he said, and we have the audio to prove it. Mike Pence was asked about that over the weekend, and he doubled down on those remarks, saying that they were understandable. Mike Pence is a bigger moron than Donald Trump. I can't believe I am saying that right now, but I am. It's incredible. And we'll try to squeeze in some phone calls on that coming up in hour number 2. But yeah, I mean, this is just unbelievable. We're going to get to that now. It's unbelievable. But as I mentioned earlier, Carl Goldman, a man who's what is the word I'm looking for here? I sound like Joe Biden. I'm stuttering right now. Contracted.
Yes.
Contracted the coronavirus. Thank you, Chris. He's going to be joining us coming up here in just a few minutes. We could sneak in a call or two at 257-5396. So who do you think is going to win? What do you think about Pete Buttigieg getting out of the presidential race. 257-5396. Got a couple minutes here, so I'll try to squeeze in a few phone calls. Why don't we go to Michelle? Michelle, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm a fairly new listener, just a couple of weeks, but Brian, I do like your personality, and that's why I continue to listen. We don't agree on hardly anything, but that's okay.
Michelle, why can't you get other women to say that as well? It really helped my dating
Michelle,
life.
yeah, there is a shortage of the fair sex out there that do not have the same frame of mind that you do when it comes to Brian.
Well, Michelle, I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. What's on your mind? What do you think about this?
I agree with you on this. The other Democrats should get out of the race and allow B and J to blow it out, fight it out.
Yeah.
You like that? B and J blow it out. Anyway, yes.
That's good stuff.
Leave it to Biden and Bernie.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a prediction right now, and I'm very, very good at making predictions.
Okay.
For most of my life, I'm good at it. So I'm going to say it's Joe Biden that will take it because Bernie, like you just said, is too extreme, and also health issues and his age. So I'm going to say it's Biden right here.
All right.
Right now.
Well, do you think Joe Biden will defeat Donald Trump?
No, I'm gonna make my prediction that President Trump, unless something extreme happens with anything could happen between now and November.
Right.
That could affect national confidence in Trump.
Well, that's true.
Look what's happening with the stock market lately, with the virus and all that. Anything could come up worldwide.
That is true. I mean, President
Well,
Trump.
it has come up already. He was impeached back in earlier this year. Obviously we have the coronavirus situation that we're getting a gauge on the Trump administration and how they're handling it, and it's not something that's going over positive, right? I mean, Americans aren't.
I mean,
positive.
there
as
is a
to how-
possibility that Donald Trump could pay a woman hush money and have unprotected sex with her, with a porn star. That could happen again, right, Michelle?
I don't think that'll happen again. And I really, you mentioned that too many times. It's a little bit annoying. But
It's annoying.
You have to continually talk about the porn star and the sex. That's old news.
Then let me ask.
So it doesn't matter anymore.
Chris, hold on, Chris. Chris, hang on. Michelle.
it doesn't matter anymore.
Michelle.
No.
It doesn't matter anymore?
Michelle, then why is it that so many right-wing talk show hosts want to talk about Bill Clinton's sexcapades? Do you also have an issue with that?
I haven't heard them speaking on that matter.
I have.
And I have too.
Even the hosts that are on this radio station talked about Bill Clinton last week. Everybody on Fox News seems to talk about it on a weekly basis. They never get over Bill Clinton. And how about Donald Trump? When he was running against Hillary Clinton, he had 8 women in one of the debates that he brought that alleged that Bill Clinton had sexual sex with them or sexually assaulted them. Would you say the same to Donald Trump?
Well, I'm just glad he was with women and not like howdy booty with a man and his knee pads and all that.
All right. I appreciate the call, Michelle.
Look, you can't get away with making ridiculously homophobic comments like that on the air, okay?
By the way,
you got to come stronger than that.
It was Michelle that made oral sex jokes to start this conversation. Keep that in mind.
Yes.
She's the one who made the oral sex jokes, and now she has a problem with Pete Buttigieg having sex with somebody, in this case, his husband.
No, she's making derogatory comments
about
people
tolerate
who are homosexual.
She took a page from the Rush Limbaugh playbook there. We're going to take
Not
a quick
smooth.
break, and when we come back, the man who I'm losing the term again, Chris. The man who contracted. Thank you very much. The coronavirus. Carl Goldman off a cruise ship. He's going to be joining us next on the Vegas Take.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689. Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, Again, 800-501-3689.
Well, more communities are reporting cases of coronavirus in the United States. President Trump saying
some additional people were reported. They're in good shape, but we have some additional people that were reported, and not very many in the United States.
about 90 cases in the U.S. and 2 deaths now reported. The U.S. has canceled a joint military exercise with Israel over the coronavirus. The Biden campaign is trying to reposition itself in the Democratic race for the nomination. More from correspondent Jessica Dean.
What the Biden campaign is hoping to do is to really consolidate this more moderate lane of the party and make Joe Biden the de facto candidate as an alternative to Bernie Sanders.
American factories expanded in February for the second straight month despite disruptions caused by the coronavirus outbreak. On Wall Street, stocks are up, the Dow up about 680. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Canada Dry Ginger Ale. Police with a crash reported Rancho Drive southbound at Jones Boulevard, blocking the left lane. Meanwhile, I-15 northbound exhibiting a slowing pattern between the Southern Beltway to Flamingo. And on 15 southbound, the recovery from the rush hour is underway, but there's still going to be some slowing between Spring Mountain and Tropicana. Traffic's the worst, so grab a can of Canada Dry Ginger Ale and imagine instead you're gently floating through the cosmos on a soft, comfy recliner. Next time, relax with the real ginger taste of Canada Dry. I'm John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Coming up here in a little bit, we're going to talk about Donald Jr.'s comments saying that Democrats want millions of Americans to die so that Trump will be reelected in 2020. Mike Pence actually doubling down on those comments. That's right, the Vice President of the United States doubling down. We'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But boy, the guy we have with us on the line right now, his story is incredibly disturbing. It sucks, I don't, for lack of a better term. He's on a cruise ship with his wife. I believe it was coming from Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And he actually contracted the coronavirus. He is now separated from his wife, I believe now lying in a bed in Nebraska, and he joins us right now on the line to tell his story. He is Carl Goldman. Mr. Goldman, thank you so much for joining us, sir. How are you?
I am actually doing pretty well. I wish I was in Vegas and in your studio right now, but I'd be needing my biocontainment outfit and hazmat suit on.
Yeah, that would be a bizarre situation. We don't want to put you through that, sir.
Yeah, you know, I'm a radio guy also. We own a station in Santa Clarita, California. So
cool. Okay.
My idea is to make sure we do KHTS logos in hazmat suits for Halloween this year.
I like that idea. That's a pretty good idea.
You
actually.
know there's going to be a plethora of those types of costumes going down once
doubt.
October 31st rolls around this year.
So, Carl, can you bring us back to step one? You're on a cruise with your wife. Give us the circumstances of that. Where were you going? Where were you coming from?
Sure. I bought my wife a Christmas and birthday present for a cruise to Southeast Asia. We left Santa Clarita, California on January 17th. Spent a couple days in Tokyo. Then we did 15 days of our 16-day cruise through Southeast Asia, leaving Japan and heading all the way down through South Vietnam, Hong Kong, Taiwan. When we were one day away from returning to the Yokohama harbor in Japan, it was announced that one of the passengers had exited the ship in Hong Kong. 4 days later, he came down with the virus. Mind you, this is still in the days when China was still suppressing a lot of information,
right,
and there wasn't that much media out there on the virus.
right.
We raced back to Yokohama, docked in the harbor, and pulled down anchor. Japanese health officials came on. They announced that we would be delayed an extra 24 hours while they circulated the entire ship and ran tests on all of us, fever tests. They did that, and then the next morning, so we had an extra day on the ship, full use of the ship. The next day, we woke up. They announced on the speakers that we were now quarantined in our cabin for 14 days.
Oh, my God. If you're
Now,
claustrophobic, that's not a good situation.
Yeah, my wife and I, we've been married 29 years. This is the ultimate test of our marriage.
Oh, my God. I can imagine.
We were in a mini suite and had a balcony so we could look out. It was a scene like out of the Andromeda Strain, looking out into the harbor. But we did okay. And anytime we started feeling sorry for ourselves, because we also had our friends on board, they were next door. Our balcony we had opened early on, so we could go back and forth. And I think that's what saved my marriage, was having the four of us there.
But I got to ask you, one of my worst nightmares, you said you had a mini suite. What about the people who had like a little box room, like a jail cell, and they can't leave that room? I mean, again, I'm claustrophobic. I'm freaking out just thinking about this. You're telling me that you're trapped in your room for 2 days, or for 14 days? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 14 days.
Oh, my
Let me add to that. Imagine being in that tiny room, no windows, about a third the size of ours, and having 2 young kids in there.
Oh, my goodness.
That happened. I met one couple on one of our excursions. They were in their 80s from Atlanta, and their grandson had given them a gift of the trip. The grandson was also in the inside cabin with them, along with a friend of the grandson. So there were 4 of them in the inside cabin. Yeah, just put a fork in my forehead.
Oh,
well, I can imagine also, I mean, was the crew also quarantined? Were the people that actually worked on the ship also quarantined? So I can imagine if that was the case, those people, their accommodations are nowhere near what you've described as far as your accommodations or others who are actually, paying people on the ship.
Yeah, part of the problem and part of the reason why the Diamond Princess became a floating petri dish, and no one knew this at the time, so I'm not blaming Princess or the Japanese government because they've been stellar, but 2 of the challenges were, number one, the crew still came and served us. Granted, they were in masks and handing us food at the door, and we had to wear masks when we opened the door, but that wasn't enough to contain this. And the thing that's so nasty about this virus, it's not so much getting it, because for me it was like a mild flu or a mild cold, and that seems to be the case for 98% of the people, although we now have 6 deaths from the Diamond Princess and well over 700 with the virus.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me 6 people died that were on that ship with you?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, that's Carl.
Because there's not that obviously that cruise ship is not just American citizens, Brian. Those are people from all over the world.
Carl, that is extremely scary. You're telling me you're on a ship and you contracted the same virus that 6 other people died from. I mean, just from a human element perspective, that's got to freak you out.
Well, it did and it didn't, because what was happening is our numbers kept increasing. By the time we were sent back to the States, the number was over 300, and we knew that most of those people were healthy and just going through the equivalent of a really bad cold.
Right.
So the numbers are still 2% are dying, and most of those are very elderly or have had pre-existing medical conditions.
Listen, that's a good way of looking at it, and I totally understand that. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Carl Goldman. He has contracted the coronavirus on a ship with his wife. His wife doesn't have the virus, but he does. He's now in Nebraska. Okay, so let's go back to the story. You're told that you have to be in this room with your wife for 2 weeks. You can't leave. What happens next, and how do you find out that you actually have the virus? Were you getting what were you feeling? Were you not feeling well? What happened next?
Well, I was fine. The entire time I was on the ship, I was fine. I did not get the virus. What happened with us is, and it was, as I said, it's kind of like a scene from the Andromeda Strain or a bad movie, because every day the numbers were increasing for those who had picked up the virus. What happened was 2 days before we left, our friends, the wife had picked up the virus, Jerry Jorgensen. She got it, had been tested positive, and she was the healthiest of all of us. So that was a little freaky. And also, we had been together the entire 14 days, so we knew we were challenged with that.
Right.
We asked to also get tested. Those test results lag behind because they take the test, they send it to Tokyo, then coming back. So I didn't know that I had the virus when I left the ship. The U.S. Embassy and the State Department decided to evacuate the Americans. This was on day 12 of our quarantine, back to the States. They set up 2 747 cargo planes, put us on buses. We ended up sitting on the buses for 6 hours with no bathroom. That was probably the hardest experience of all this. And, and then they loaded us on, this is now an all-nighter, they loaded us onto these cargo planes. Those cargo planes only had 2 bathrooms for 150 passengers, so you can imagine what that was like by the time we got back to the States.
Oh, my God.
But we weren't complaining because we had no bathrooms on the bus.
Right.
Went to sleep. It had been all-nighter. Fell asleep in my seat on the plane. 2 hours later, I woke up with a very, very high fever. And knew that then, because that was similar to what our friend Jerry had, knew I was probably experiencing the virus. Got up. We had no stewardesses on the plane. There were 3 Air Force personnel. 1 was an Air Force doctor. 2 were Air Force medical teams, all in hazmat suits. They took my temperature and then moved me right away into a quarantine area of the plane where there were already 8 others.
Oh,
so the 9 of us flew the rest of the way to Travis Air Force Base, which is outside of Sacramento, in a quarantine area. I fell asleep and didn't wake up till the tires of the plane touched ground, so I slept 8 hours. And what's weird is by the time I got up, my fever had broken. What's also strange is, unlike a cold, I had no sniffles, I had no sneezing, no body aches, never got the chills even with 103 fever.
Wow.
I don't think I broke out into a big sweat out of that.
What
The
is your
fever
wife
came.
and what is your wife doing during this time? I mean, they quarantine you. They leave your wife where she's at. What happens to your wife?
Yeah, they left her where she's at. She wasn't allowed to come to the quarantine area. They had set up large plastic sheets and had us blocked off from the rest of the plane.
So I could make a horrible joke and say, was your wife celebrating at that time? But that would be a terrible joke. I would never do that. But you're just joining us, speaking with Carl Goldman.
But he brought it up anyway.
Of course.
So.
Oh, well, he's the one who said, like, in two weeks in a room with your wife, that challenges your relationship. So it sounds to me that their relationship is pretty damn strong. His name, again, is Carl Goldman. He has contradicted the coronavirus. So, Carl, next step is they bring you to Nebraska. Why are you in Nebraska right now?
Yeah, so what happened was, for some reason, and I don't know why, we sat at Travis Air Force Base on the landing strip for a couple hours. They emptied the plane of all passengers, about 150 of us on that plane. The other plane, by the way, flew to Lackland Air Force Base outside of San Antonio. Our plane, of the 9 of us who were in the quarantine, for some totally unknown reason, they took 6 of them off the plane. Maybe because I had the high fever, they kept me on along with 2 others, and then they voluntarily asked the spouses if they wanted to get off at Travis or go with us to Omaha. All 3 spouses agreed to come to Omaha, so that, yes, is a test of our marriage. I guess it's pretty intact that my wife didn't dump me and stay in Travis.
We're happy she didn't do that. It sounds like you guys are doing fine. Okay, so tell me how you're feeling right now, and tell me what it is like to live in a world where you're quarantined off and everyone looks like a robot. Everyone's in all these weird outfits and stuff, I guess, for lack of a better term. I mean, this is I mean, a hellish experience. I mean, we're glad that you're feeling better, and it sounds to me that you're going to be just fine, and that's number one. That's most important. But this is just an awful experience. I mean, you could have never thought that this would have happened to you when you stepped foot on this ship with your wife. I mean, this is just hell.
Well, you can look at it that way. I looked at it as making lemonade out of lemon. Look, you can only live for the present. This was out of our control. I started writing a blog on our website, hometownstation.com, on a daily basis and looking at the humorous side of this and realizing, hey, just take this one step at a time and deal with it. When I got to Omaha, they put me in a biocontainment center, which was really bizarre. This past Wednesday, they downgraded me and moved me over to the area where there are 15 now patients here in Omaha. My wife actually and one other are able to leave today because they've been negative the whole time, but 13 of us are still here in a lower level area on the medical campus of Nebraska Medicine. But in the biocontainment area, that was weird. It was like I was in a fishbowl, 2 TV cameras on me. I could communicate via two-way screen. Nurses and doctors came in. Doctor came in once a day in a hazmat outfit. Nurses always in a hazmat outfit every 4 hours. And that was set up when 9/11 hit. There was an outbreak of anthrax. So the U.S. government set up 3 centers, one in Omaha, one in New York, and one in Atlanta, just for this. They never used it for anthrax. They did use it for Ebola, the Ebola virus, about 5 years ago. And then I was patient number 2 in this whole center. But they've been awesome. They've had this set up for years and years and years now, since 9/11, just for a crisis like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carl, obviously now you're back in the United States. You've seen the reaction around the country and around the world, for that matter, to this situation we're dealing with. And you've also seen how the Trump administration has handled this. What is your comfort level right now with how the American government is handling the situation, given, there's been questions about enough information coming out. There's been questions about what exactly, the American public is being allowed to hear about this. How do you feel from a comfort level standpoint as far as the United States of America and how they're handling this?
I think they're handling it as best they can, and I don't see any information getting suppressed. We get to have a town hall meeting every day at 3. We have CDC officials on, doctors, everyone feeding us the information. I've been writing my blog every day and has never been censored with it. I've noticed a tremendous amount of misinformation out there, particularly on social media. But I think they're doing it the best they can. They're trying to figure this out. And it's easy, again, Diamond Princess, that was a giant mistake. But looking at it, that's looking at it from today's perspective, not from a day-to-day as we were going through that fluid, unknown situation back then.
Yeah, I would also...
Had China been more forthright with their information to begin with, this probably could have been contained a lot sooner.
You could also make the argument giving a princess a diamond would also be a mistake. So I'm sorry, just another horrible joke. What is a very serious situation. I remember, Carl, the movie Outbreak. I'm sure you probably watched that movie with Dustin Hoffman. Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah.
Does it feel? So I have to ask you, because it's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
Morgan Freeman, Rene Russo.
I have to ask you, does it feel like at times that you're in that movie, living that movie?
Oh, yeah. It feels like I'm in a variety of movies. The Andromeda Strain, Outbreak. There are a whole bunch of movies out there that really could be a matching with my situation.
Right. Now, so moving forward now, obviously I would imagine you feel close to 100%. How is your health right now as we speak with you?
Health is good. I still have my cough. It's a dry cough, no mucus. Other than the dry cough, and if I do a lot of exercising or walking, I'm a little short of breath. Other than that, I've been fine. I've been fever-free for over 2 weeks. I feel good. As I said, I'd be back at work at the radio station if I wasn't contagious.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm not going to be released until the government officials are totally 100% sure I'm not going to spread this. There's no one in this political year that's going to risk their career letting me out there to spread the virus. So the deal is we've got to go 3 days in a row with negative tests. Each time they do 3 tests. One is up the nostril, each nostril, and then one's down the throat.
Right, right.
And then I have an extra bonus because I signed up for a clinical study. So they get to do a swab up my rear end as well.
Oh, that sounds fun. Ooh, geez.
Yeah, you guys can use your imagination for that.
Oh my God.
Hey, it's information. We like details. We like, we want to be as informed as we can, Carl, when it comes to how you're dealing with this.
Carl, I like you because you are trying to, as you said, turn a lemon into lemonade. I believe that's what you said, and I appreciate that about you. It sounds like you have a great attitude. I'm just going by some of the things that you've told us in the last 20 minutes, and I am scared. I would be. Listen, again, like I said, I'm claustrophobic. So when somebody says, you're trapped in a room with, I don't care if it's your wife or by myself, I would freak out. It seemed like you were able to remain calm with your wife, and it sounds to me like you're a very level-headed guy. But I would imagine, Carl, and you tell me what you think about this, there are some people out there that are in your specific situation that maybe don't have the head that you have and are freaking out a little bit. I would imagine there has to be some people out there that are extremely worried and, for lack of a better term, like, have you interacted at all with any others that have the virus, or are they keeping you away from one another?
No, well, we're physically away from each other, but we all are on a conference call every day, the 15 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So we communicate, and everyone seems to be pretty level-headed
That's
with
good.
this. What I would recommend where people are freaking out, I think, is anytime anyone has a sniffle or a cough, they're now freaking out thinking they have the virus. Buy a good digital thermometer because that's going to be the best indicator of all that you don't have the virus. It's a quick, high spike of fever that seems to hit the majority of people. That's a good thing. And then we, as I understand it, the virus doesn't do well in warm weather, which will be good for you guys in Vegas very soon.
Sure.
But I am now drinking a lot of ginger tea because ginger apparently also pushes up the body temperature. And I'm walking around and exercising and trying to keep as far away from a cold environment as I can to not be super friendly to those germs.
Sure. I mean, what are the conversations like with your wife now? I mean, this is just such a crazy situation. I would imagine you haven't seen your wife in quite some time now. What are those conversations like with your family members, your friends, and your wife?
Yeah, well, I get to FaceTime each other, so our relationship has just shifted to a virtual relationship.
Right.
And we own the local radio station, as I said earlier, so we're running everything virtually. I'm doing 8-9 hours of work in the morning. I'm sure my staff, once I'm back there after, they're probably looking forward to me coming back, but after about 72 hours, they'll want me back in Omaha.
Right.
So, Carl, listening to your viewpoints and how you're looking at this from your perspective, it's my indication, I think, that you perceive this, that 3, 4, 5 months down the road, we're not going to be looking at some type of society-altering epidemic, right? You think that this is something that absolutely is going to be handled on every level, and we're going to be able to look at this as something that happened in the past and end up being something that we've dealt with properly.
Yeah, it may not be that short a time. We may have an outbreak ahead of time. What's pervasive about this is the germs apparently stay out there and can live out there for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So the Diamond Princess, as I mentioned earlier, was like a walking petri dish because I could walk down a staircase not knowing I had the virus, touch a railing. An hour later, another passenger could walk by, so we've had no contact, touch that same railing, and get the virus, and vice versa. So as we watch the numbers climb a little bit here in the States, I would be very surprised if those numbers don't start climbing more and more and get fairly significant. But keeping in mind only 2%, which is less than the flu and other challenges out there, only 2%, most of those seem to be ones who have had pre-existing conditions or are elderly. Those are the ones that are really paying the price and in many cases, losing their lives.
As with the flu. I think you can compare this to the flu in many instances. I personally believe the only difference being is they don't have medication that can cure coronavirus right now, and they might not have it anytime soon. Okay, Carl, this will be my last question for you. You've experienced this. You've lived this. You are still going through this today. So what advice would you give to Americans, or really anybody around the world that is very concerned about getting this virus, contracting this virus? What advice would you give to them? What would you tell them?
Yeah, aside from the info I already gave about a thermometer and things, so just be proactive. Don't, I'm not going to go back and do the California hugs and kisses for a while. I think we can all go to the Japanese bowing and be smart about, not drinking from someone else's glass. Just normal common sense things, I think, will help keep this thing from spreading.
Right.
And really, it doesn't look like the masks help. We all wore masks on the Diamond Princess. We had gloves on a bunch of the times, and that didn't seem to stop this. So just be smart about it. Try and maybe stay away from large gatherings, and as I said, go back to the Japanese bowing for a bit.
Right. No. Well, listen, let me tell you this, Carl. We're glad that you're feeling better. I know you're not quite out of the woods yet, but certainly we wish the very best for you and your family. I also really appreciate you taking some time to join us and giving out this information to people and letting people know what's going on. Maybe at some point down the road we can catch up with you again. But I think what you're doing is a great service to everybody, to just kind of tell your story a little bit, because not everybody is doing what you're doing. And I think it's important that you share this with everybody. So thank you so much for your time, Carl. We appreciate it. We wish you the very best. And we hope you get a speedy and full recovery and you get to get back to your family and live life again and run your radio station.
Terrific. You guys take care.
All right. Thank you very much.
Carl.
Appreciate that. That is Carl Goldman. He contracted the coronavirus on a ship. He was with his wife. I would lose my mind if somebody told me I was stuck in a hotel room for 2 weeks and I couldn't leave, let alone a cruise ship hotel room. It's like a jail cell, and the food sucks. I would lose my mind.
And as you pointed out, it's not like, a lot of the people that were on that ship weren't in suites, Brian. They weren't in luxurious accommodations by any stretch of the imagination. Can you imagine being in that situation like you pointed out?
No.
Where you're in a room which is basically a jail cell, okay? That's how a lot of those people had to deal with a 14-day quarantine. Not fun whatsoever.
No, it sounds like hell.
Yes.
It really does. It's terrible. This guy sounds like a really smart guy and a really level-headed guy. Sounds like a good dude. And
a no panic type of guy, right, Brian?
Yeah.
Which, look, let's be honest, you pointed it out. And you said yourself, you're scared by some of the comments that he made because, it does bring out a little bit of fear in everybody. But as I pointed out on social media over the weekend, Brian, I think we need to have some type of perspective here, right? We need to understand what the risks are. We need to make sure we have the information, first of all. But we also need to, kind of exercise a little bit of restraint when it comes to freaking out over this.
Our appreciation to Carl for taking some time to join us, who contracted the coronavirus. All right, so coming up next, speaking of the coronavirus, Donald Trump Jr. made some idiotic, irresponsible comments last week in regards to Democrats hoping that people die so that his father will not be reelected, attacking Democrats. Mike Pence, the vice president of the United States. This isn't Rush Limbaugh we're talking about. We're talking about the vice president. Now doubling down on those comments, and this is the man who is in charge of this whole thing. We're going to talk about that coming up next. We have the audio to prove it. It is unbelievable, and it is sickening, for lack of a better term. And we'll take your phone calls on the other side at 257-5396. This is the Vegas Take. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
Hey, Greg, I'm so sorry to hear about your brother's heart attack.
Thanks. He's okay now, but it really got me thinking about my family. Could my wife still pay our mortgage if I had a heart problem? Or could my kids still go to college?
Man, that is really scary. You should call my life insurance agent at Health IQ. When I got life insurance for my family last year, they saved me 41% versus any other company I looked at.
41%? That's huge.
Yep. Health IQ starts by shopping everyone with the top 30 life insurance carriers to make sure they can get the lowest retail rate. Then they apply their exclusive healthy lifestyle savings, which can save you up to 41%. I literally got $1 million in coverage for my family for just $36 a month.
Just $36 a month?
Yep. You should check it out at healthiq.com/easy.
To save that much money, I'm going to call them right now. What's that link again? healthiq.com/easy?
Yep, healthiq.com/easy.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Will Mayor Pete endorse? Virus fears emerge online. I'm Mike Moss. The Biden campaign is hopeful that it will get the endorsement of Pete Buttigieg soon. The latest from correspondent Jeff Zeleny.
Talking to people around the Buttigieg campaign, they do expect an endorsement of Biden at some point. The question is, will it come before Super Tuesday or not? We do know that there is an all-staff campaign phone call happening in South Bend, so it's unclear if it'll be announced on there or not.
Biden is coming off a big win in South Carolina, but Bernie Sanders appears to have the edge in tomorrow's Super Tuesday. President Trump is telling his supporters his rallies are safe to attend.
These were set up a long time ago, and others are. I mean, you could ask that to the Democrats because they're having a lot of rallies. They're all having rallies. That's what they're doing. They're campaigning.
But do you think it's safe? Are you worried at all?
I think it's very safe, yeah. I think it's very safe.
But Americans are worried about coronavirus. Correspondent Christine Romans.
There's one economist this morning who sent out to all of his clients, he said this, he said, there are now more Google searches for Lysol and face masks than the Kardashians. That tells you that the American public is retrenching because they want to know what this means for them.
The NIH's Dr. Anthony Fauci says all doctors can do now is treat symptoms.
There is no specific treatment that anyone knows about. It's the underlying supportive care for these people.
A hospital employee in New Hampshire is the latest to test positive for the coronavirus. Correspondent Bryn Gingras reports on new travel precautions.
The administration is going to be adding extra measures, making sure that travelers who are coming into the United States from those high-risk countries, we're talking about parts of Italy, we're talking about South Korea, Iran, China, they're going to go through a screening before they even board the plane, and then they're going to receive another screening once they get stateside here in the United States.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 775 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Canada Dry Ginger Ale. A crash reported on Rancho southbound at Jones Boulevard. Watch for slowing. This is blocking the left lane of southbound. Also a crash with injuries on Durango at Spring Mountain, and slowing remains on 15 northbound between the 215 Southern Beltway and Flamingo. Elsewhere, it looks like a nice recovery underway on the 95 in the West Valley. That's done. Some light northbound slowing on the 95 in the East Valley just past Eastern to Las Vegas Boulevard. Traffic's the worst, so grab a can of Canada Dry Ginger Ale and imagine instead you're gently floating through the cosmos on a soft, comfy recliner. Next time, relax with a real ginger taste of Canada Dry. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Are you tired of strained relationships, the shame of overindulging, and downward spirals, but quitting drinking completely just isn't for you? Sound familiar? Meet LifeBack, a physician-approved, completely private, personalized plan for treating problem drinking without having to quit completely. Using a combination of medication proven in clinical studies to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people and in-app coaching and support tools, LifeBack gradually gets you to a place where drinking can be a part of your life without being a problem in it. The best part? Every aspect of your Life Back plan is managed on our mobile app from the privacy of your phone, and medication is delivered discreetly to your doorstep without the need for in-person doctor appointments. If you're ready for sharper focus, stronger relationships, better health, and saved money while still enjoying moderate drinking, you're ready for Life Back. Visit lifebac.com to start the Life Back program today. lifebac.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. We got Chris Wynn sitting in on a Monday, and we are talking coronavirus, ladies and gentlemen. We just had Carl Goldman on, who has the virus, who's now quarantined in Nebraska, got it on a cruise ship. This is a serious situation. If you recall, last week, Donald Trump Jr. doesn't think it's a serious situation. In fact, Donald Trump Jr. is blaming Democrats for what's transpiring with this coronavirus, and he made some ridiculous claims last week. I want you to have a listen to this and keep this in mind, folks. This isn't just somebody wacky to the right that does a radio show or is a columnist or works for Fox News. This is the son of the President of the United States, Don Jr. Have a listen to this.
Whose soul did he sell to do that, right? I mean, the fact that Pete Buttigieg.
I think was that the wrong cut?
That was the Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah. We want to go.
Anything that they can use to try to hurt Trump, they will. For them to try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning is a new level of sickness.
Okay, so really what Donald Jr. is doing is he's saying that Democrats want millions of people dead so that his father loses in 2020. Now, any reasonable human being would tell you that that is beyond absurd, ridiculous, dangerous, and harmful, really. The son of the president making comments like that, it's absurd. And anybody who thinks that's okay, you're a moron. Okay, let me just flat out. If you're okay with Don Jr. saying that Democrats want people to die so that President Trump loses in 2020, you are a right-wing radical nut, and you need to go on medication. Let's be very clear on that, ladies and gentlemen, and get that out of the way right now. You are psychotic if you agree with Don Jr., who has never accomplished anything in his life. Don Jr. has never done anything in his life to brag about. He is the son of Donald Trump. He is a loser, and he's extremely stupid. I guarantee you that guy probably wouldn't be able to pass a class in college if his last name wasn't Trump. I guarantee you that, okay? I guarantee you that. So Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, was asked by Jake Tapper on CNN over the weekend about the harmful comments that Don Jr. made about Democrats. Have a listen to this exchange, again, on national television, the Vice President of the United States. Here it is.
Can we agree that neither Democrats nor Republicans want Americans to get the coronavirus and die from it? I mean, that does seem like it seems like very extreme rhetoric. I don't expect you to criticize the president's son, but you don't think that Democrats want people to contract this disease, do you?
Well, I think what the president said earlier this week, and his charge to me is to remind the American people that the risk is low, to assure the American people that we're ready, but also to say, as the president said, this is no time for politics. And frankly, I think that was Don Jr.'s point.
No, it wasn't.
That there has been some very strong rhetoric directed at the president by some members of Congress and
you don't think that was
political
strong rhetoric?
commentators. Well,
you said seemingly Democrats want millions of Americans to die of coronavirus.
But responding to the kind of things that have been hurled is understandable.
Oh, man. And Donald Trump Jr., didn't Donald Trump Jr. just talk about how Pete Buttigieg had sold his soul? And Mike Pence is responding that way when he's talking about politics and the coronavirus, Brian?
Okay. First of all, folks, let me just say
it's
this.
Unreal.
Again, I'm going to repeat myself because I think it's important. This is the Vice President of the United States who is saying it is understandable. That's the term he used. I'm not making stuff up here. We just played you the audio. The Vice President of the United States saying that it is understandable for the son of the president to claim that Democrats are hoping that innocent people die from the coronavirus so that Donald Trump is not reelected in 2020. Is anybody okay with this type of language? How do you feel about that? Let me tell you something about Mike Pence, and let me tell you something about what is understandable. It'd be understandable if we learned that Mike Pence was actually a homosexual himself. That would be understandable if you want to use the term. It would be understandable to learn that the whole reason why Mike Pence calls himself this religious fanatic on the right, who is a Bible thumper, is because maybe, just maybe, Mike Pence has committed some of those sins that he claims are sins. Just maybe Mike Pence is a phony. Just maybe Mike Pence is a stiff. Just maybe everything that Mike Pence has said in his career is a lie. For God's sakes, when Mike Pence started his political career, he stole money from his campaign. He stole money so he could pay his wife's car payments. Mike Pence is no saint, ladies and gentlemen, but he likes to call himself one and hide behind his religion. And now he's saying it's understandable for the son of the president of the United States to say that Democrats want innocent people to die so that Donald Trump isn't elected in 2020. These are the idiots that are running this country. This is the son of the guy who's running this country. This is the vice president of the United States who is in charge of the coronavirus. And are you okay with that? Are you okay with this idiot, Mike Pence? Are you okay with this guy helping us organize and try to figure out what's going on with this coronavirus? The same moron who said that back in 2000, cigarettes didn't kill people. That's right. Mike Pence said that, folks. He would rather pray to try to cure cancer than actually come up with a cure for cancer. That's Mike Pence. You want to get ridiculous? You want to say ridiculous things? Then I'll say ridiculous things. Mike Pence would rather pray than go to a doctor and get help. And that is not as far-fetched as the stuff that Don Jr. said last week. The number to call is 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of this conversation. Thoughts on Don Jr.'s comments, thoughts on Mike Pence doubling down on Don Jr.'s comments, basically saying that it was understandable for the son of the president of the United States to claim that Democrats want innocent people to die from the coronavirus so that Donald Trump doesn't get elected again in 2020. Your thoughts on that? Phone line's open. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program is 702-257-5396. Again, that is 257-5396. I am so disgusted by this, and I am not surprised that because Mike Pence is a coward. Just like the Bone Spurs in chief president, Mike Pence is a coward. All Mike Pence had to do in answering that question, he didn't have to bash Donald Trump's son. He didn't have to bash him at all. All he had to say was, I don't condone that type of language. I do not think that Democrats want innocent people to die from the coronavirus. That's all he had to say. And then he could have moved on to something else. But Mike Pence chose not to do that. He chose to defend Don Jr., the moron himself. That's what Mike Pence decided to do. And it is so disgusting to me that we have an administration and a vice president that cannot admit any wrongdoing, anything. Anybody in the Trump family, it is nonsense.
I think that's very egregious. You're right. When he doesn't say that I don't agree with what Don Trump Jr. said, I mean, he kind of becomes complicit in that conversation. Now, do I think that Democrats, high-ranking Democrats, Democratic Party actually want people, millions of people in the United States to die due to the coronavirus just so they can, gain political power? I don't. Do I think that they like the idea of a stock market, a plummeting stock market, to make Donald Trump's market and his economy look questionable moving into the 2020 election? I do. But you're right. Mike Pence, all he had to do, and usually you like to critique, how people respond to things and how it's not perfect. You're totally right here, Brian. Mike Pence needed to say, I don't agree with that.
It's a joke.
And that's it.
And again, this is a guy that quotes the Bible all the time. This is a guy who calls him a great Christian.
It proves that he is afraid of Donald Trump. It proves that he's afraid of his boss, of the president of the United States. No, and I agree. that is a very cowardice move.
Let me just give out the number one more time. 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Go ahead, Chris, chime in here, and then we're going to take some calls.
Well, Brian and JD, the point that was most absurd to me was the fact that the vice president was saying that Don Jr. thought that Don Jr. wasn't being political, when the fact of the matter is Don Jr. mentioned Democrats as if they had a political motivation to want to have people die from the virus in this country so that Donald Trump's candidacy would suffer in 2020. He's making an absolute direct connection to politics and this virus. And to claim otherwise is just completely ridiculous.
All right, let's see what you think out there. 702-257-5396. Why don't we start off with Frank? Frank, you are first up on the Vegas Take, sir. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Just real quick, I just tuned in, and I was just catching how upset you are with Mike Pence, and I heard the term Bible thumper.
Yep.
That's a pretty derogatory term.
You're damn right, and I mean it. I mean it for every sense of the derogatory sense, and I'll explain to you why, Frank, because it sounds to me like you have a problem with that. Okay, you can.
Yeah, I took offense. It was offensive. Okay,
let me explain.
I was offended by it.
Okay, so Frank, let me ask you a question. Are you the type of person that would claim that Democrats want to kill innocent people so that Trump doesn't get reelected in 2020? Would you ever say that?
Am I that type? No, I don't.
Okay,
no,
good.
I would never
Frank,
say that.
okay, so good. Frank, I'm glad that you wouldn't do that, and I would never call you a Bible thumper. The reason why I call Mike Pence a Bible thumper, because he quotes the Bible all the time. He calls himself about how he's a man of God and he's this great Christian. Well, the great Christian and the man of God is basically saying it's understandable. That's what he said. It's understandable for the president's son to say that all Democrats want to kill innocent people with this virus, are okay with innocent people dying, so the President Trump doesn't get reelected in 2020. I don't want a guy who says egregious things like that or defends it, quoting the Bible. I don't want a guy talking about what a great Christian man he is when he thinks it's okay for one party to say the other party wants to kill innocent people. I have a big problem with that, Frank, and that's why I call them a Bible thumper, because in my personal opinion, those who quote the Bible all the time, not all, but many that quote the Bible all the time, that call themselves these great Christians, are some of the worst people on the planet, and they're hypocrites.
Yeah, well, I don't know anybody that calls themselves a, quote, great Christian, and most believers know they fall short. Also, most people that look at Christians always try to hold them to a higher standard, that most Christians will never reach.
So let me ask you that. I was just going to ask you, Frank, with that set of thinking, and I don't deny that some people think that way, but with that set of thinking, wouldn't Mike Pence say that and say, listen, Don Jr. needs to be held to a higher standard. Our president needs to be held to a higher standard. Our president shouldn't be attacking women based on looks. Our president shouldn't be going after POWs. Our president shouldn't be having unprotected sex with porn stars. Well, by that logic, Frank, it is, well, you're laughing, but it's true.
It's true, yeah.
By that logic, Frank, shouldn't Mike Pence be standing up and saying, Trump, you need to be a better Christian, be a better human being? Why is he not holding the president accountable if he's such a great person?
Sure, I agree. The only comment I really had was that, saying a Quran thumper, a Torah thumper, a Bible thumper is the only thing. All you're doing is, if you're bashing these people for being ignorant, you're being just as ignorant. And you're saying, I'm saying it to Mike Pence. But literally, you're saying it to millions
Here's
of
what
people.
I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying it to millions of people. I'm saying for the Bible thumpers out there, and let me even rephrase that. For the ultra-religious people out there, if you are the ones that commit the most sins, and you are the ones that defend and enable the sinners, then I don't want to hear about your Bible passages. I don't want to hear about your religion and your religion who I think you hide behind. Make no mistake about it. There are many religious people out there that are great people. There are many religious people out there that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, even though I am not a religious person. Mike Pence is not one of those people. I am not speaking for every religious person that quotes the Bible. Specifically in this conversation, I am speaking to Mike Pence.
All right.
And Frank, and let me point out real quickly, Frank, you are correct on one thing. Brian did coin a phrase. No one's used the phrase "great Christian" before. That's not something really that we talk about.
A good
you
Christian.
don't call him a great
Good
Christian because that's not. It's just a weird phrasing. But I was just trying to point that out.
A good Christian.
Yeah.
You get my point.
Yeah.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number is 257-5396. We're talking about Don Jr.'s comment saying that the Democrats want millions of innocent Americans dead so that Donald Trump is not reelected in 2020. And then we have Mike Pence, the stiff buffoon that he is, saying that those statements of Don Jr. are, quote, understandable. It is utterly pathetic and disgusting, and Mike Pence is a coward who hides behind his religion. Taking your calls at 257-5396. Let's go to Ira. Ira, you are next up on the Vegas Take.
What's up, Ira?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Doing well.
So I agree 100% with Brian saying. I mean, what he said was ridiculous, And same thing about Pence. He should have said, yeah, that's completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, I listen to Brian Kilby and I listen to Brian's show, so I try to listen to both sides of it,
Yeah.
And I drive Uber, so a lot of times I get a lot of people from different countries, and I actually talk to people that I really get the straight from these people,
Yep.
So you try to listen to what's on the news, and you try to use some common sense. But
Sure.
Can we just? I know it's not a perfect world. Can we just stop all this stuff, wait till November, and just let the people decide who they want to be president?
Well, it's not. Listen, in a perfect world, that'd be great, Ira. But I'm sure you want. I mean, it's not. It's not that
There's
easy.
going to be dialogue.
It's not that easy. There has to be dialogue, and we have what is going to be a pretty emotional presidential race.
Yeah, and Fox News and CNN and CBS and MSNBC,
Yeah.
they all need media content for the next six months, and
Well-
this fills all those time slots and gives all those advertisers.
Oh, and by the way, we haven't even decided on a Democratic candidate yet, guys. Right?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
come on.
But
Yeah,
Ira, going back to what you just said, I'm sure you would agree. This coronavirus is a serious situation. People have died, and I don't want to take anything away from it. This is serious. This is an issue. We had a guy on last hour, Carl Goldman, who has the coronavirus. He's been separated from his wife. He's in
I
Nebraska.
listened to that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, great guy. I really feel sorry for him. I feel bad for him. So I would hope that we could all come together in this aspect and say, listen, we want to tackle this thing. But then you have Mike Pence, who says that this is a time to come together. He said that on CNN yesterday, and in the same conversation said it was understandable for Donald Trump Jr. to say that the Democrats want millions of innocent Americans to die. Mike Pence is a hypocrite, and he's a phony, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's my frustration, Ira. Hey, listen,
But
man.
both sides are like this, my friend.
I agree with you. I agree with you in this aspect that, yes, at times there are Democrats that are also hypocrites, but here's the difference, Ira. Mike Pence is in charge of the coronavirus. He is the vice president of the United States, and it was Donald Trump's son that made these comments. If Barack Obama's daughter made a comment like that, for example, if Barack Obama's daughter made a comment over the weekend that said, Republicans, all they care about is getting reelected. They don't care about curing the coronavirus. Republicans would be going nuts right now if she made a statement like right. You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the point I'm trying. Ira, I appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much.
Let me make a quick
good
comment
call,
too
Ira.
about this both sides comment that everybody wants to make. All right. Yes, both sides of the political spectrum, okay, are going to highlight what they expect. But make no mistake about it, okay? Republicans are in charge of the Senate. Republicans are in charge of the White House, okay? So the reason why we focus is because these people are the ones that are in charge. Democrats are not in the White House. That's why we talk about Trump and we talk about Mike Pence and we talk about the administration. They're Republicans.
If you're a Republican and you're listening out there, how do you defend this? How do you defend?
They're going to try, Brian.
How do you
They're
defend?
gonna try.
It's even more difficult knowing that Mike Pence is, again, spearheading this entire operation.
Which he shouldn't be doing, yeah.
The guy, and that's fine, based on his experience in Indiana with the HIV, with the needles, etc. And that's fine that he's doing that. But in order for him not to say, I don't think that the president's son, or that I don't agree with what the president's son, that Democrats actually wish millions of Americans need to die so that they can gain political power because they're not in power right now, as the guy who's spearheading just attacking the virus itself, that's pretty bad.
I mean, do you think that this guy we just spoke with, Carl Goldman, who has the virus last hour, do you think that he thinks that Democrats are out to kill him? Do you really think that? I mean, I shouldn't even have to ask that question. It's so ridiculous. Don Jr., just shut your mouth. You've accomplished nothing in your life. Just be quiet. Go live in your multi-million-dollar mansions and go away in your stupid book. Nobody cares what you have to say. And then, I'll tell you one thing. Mike Pence is the vice president. People should care what he has to say. And Mike Pence is now doubling down and saying that it's okay for Donald Trump Jr., basically, to say Democrats want innocent people to die so that Donald Trump isn't reelected. Let me tell you something. When history looks back at Mike Pence, they're going to look at him as a lying, fake buffoon who hides behind his religion because he's a stiff. That's exactly what Mike Pence is. He's a coward. He has no backbone. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Carl. Carl, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Carl?
Yeah, hey, guys. I talked about this last week, but I'll be real quick. As far as Don Jr. goes, there's an old saying, consider the source. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And as far as Pence goes, let me just give you a little psychological aspect of this. The more rabid somebody is against a certain thing like homosexuality, is a fear in these people that they may have a touch of it or have thought of it or maybe found out about it.
It's possible.
It goes, yeah, well, it also, you got to think of it this way. It goes back to, let me just take you way back to Germany, to a man like Hitler. He had a terrible hatred of Jews. Why? Because one of his grandfathers was Jewish, and he had a whole town burned down and all the records destroyed, so it wouldn't be shown. But he had that rabid hatred.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's the same thing.
Carl, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Carl.
Psychologically, Pence has this fear. Anybody that has a fear of any type of, they're afraid of their own self.
Carl, I could not agree with you more, and I appreciate the phone call. Good to hear from you again.
Good call, Carl.
Number 257-5396. Again, when I use the term Bible thumper, when I use ultra-religious alt-right, when I use terms like that, not every single person that's religious I'm talking about, but in this specific situation, I'm talking specifically about Mike Pence. I'm talking about the Laura Ingrams of the world who wear their cross over their neck, who say that they're people of faith, and yet all she does is attack African Americans and Democrats. That's all she does on her show.
You're saying that Bible thumpers and the ultra-religious are, in most cases, hypocritical.
I'm not saying in most cases. I never used that statement, but I said there is a portion of them who want to, quote the Bible, and some of these people, not most, not all, but some of these people are really the sinners themselves, are big sinners themselves.
Look,
and
JD
they're
and Brian,
hypocrites.
this word has raised its head in the last 3.5 years, right? Hypocrisy. JG just brought hypocrisy, okay? It's absolutely something that's come into play when we've been talking about American politics over the past 3+ years because of how, certain politicians deal with situations that are contradictory to what their previous beliefs were or how they viewed those these actual situations in the past. And then now all of a sudden they've done a complete 180 and switched around on their viewpoint. That is what we're talking about as far as hypocrisy.
For any Republican out there, they want to go after everybody on the left, everybody. But when it comes to their own party, when it comes to the president, when it comes to the president's son, and when it comes to the vice president, they are hypocrites and they are silent. There are certain people that are not capable of being, I guess you could say, just saying that the president's wrong, saying that the president's son is wrong. They're incapable. Those people have absolutely zero credibility. Zero.
Well, here's the thing, Brian. There's people like Don Jr. and also Republicans, when it comes to this issue, railing against Democrats, saying that they're politicizing the coronavirus. When, in fact, they're exactly doing that themselves. They're coming out and doing the exact same thing that they're railing against. Okay? They're politicizing it. They're talking about how Democrats want people to die from the virus because it would hinder Donald Trump politically. Yeah. That is the epitome of politicizing what is going on right now.
There's no question. There's no question about that. And by the way, is this the guy that you want running the show with the coronavirus? I know that there's a lot of people working hard, and I get all that. But do you want the person in charge who said back in 2000 that cigarettes don't kill? The vice president who prays more than anything else. Is this the guy you want in charge of this thing? It's a sad joke.
Well, the answer is absolutely not, right,
It's a joke.
Yes, the answer is no.
What a shocker that Donald Trump...
The reason he's ahead of it, and if you watch the Saturday appearance, Donald Trump and his administration wants someone who can eloquently explain what is going on with the virus to the American people so to reduce panic.
All right, well,
that's why Mike Pence is in that position.
We're going to continue this conversation on the other side of the break. We'll also continue to take your calls at 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Your thoughts on Don Jr.'s comments and Mike Pence doubling down on those comments, attacking Democrats. Take a quick break. Be back right after this.
We're aware of it. We laugh about it. We know that there is a lot of shtick in our industry.
Sam and Ash, your personal injury attorneys. Find them at samandash.com.
When your lawyer is too focused on their own image and their own persona, they're not worried about your case.
We don't pretend to be anything other than who we are. We're great lawyers. This is what it's about.
Find out more at samandash.com or call 702-820-1234. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
We want you to be proud of us. At the end of the day, you want to go, hey, those are my lawyers.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
China, then in China, where the virus is thought to have originated.
Outside China, a total of 8,739 cases of COVID-19 have been reported to WHO from 61 countries.
Medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen reports more states have confirmed cases.
Cases in Rhode Island, in New York, and Oregon, and several other states were diagnosed by local testing, not by testing at the CDC in Atlanta. But still, understandably, and they're right, doctors should have that testing available to them like any other test right there in their hospitals.
Health Secretary Alex Azar is leading the investigation into how the U.S. botched the runout of test kits to monitor the virus. After China expelled 3 Wall Street Journal reporters, the U.S. is responding with sharp reductions in allowed Chinese media. The Dow was up about 790. I'm Mike Moss.
Here, it's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork. When you need in-demand talent on demand. Watch for slowing for a crash Boulder Highway at Sahara. Also, a traffic hazard was reported Rainbow at Gary Avenue and an injury crash at Twain at Durango Drive. Freeways are in good shape right now with no delays on the Southern Beltway east side, west side, 95 east side, west side looking good, and delay-free on I-15 north and south. And Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
For over 20 years, Wheel of Fortune slots have paid out more than $3 billion in jackpots and made over 1,000 millionaires. Play Wheel of Fortune today.
Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Caliphone Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
Have you been lied to by Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine? Hi, I'm Inc. Magazine bestselling author Brett Kitchen. And if you're over 55 with an IRA or 401k, I want to give you a free copy of my new book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, because according to Time Magazine, Wall Street's 401ks have failed millions of Americans. After losing 35% in my IRA in the crash years ago, I said enough. And since then, I discovered a way to grow money potential double digits, reduce taxes dramatically, and also have my money protected when the next stock market crash hits. When the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. Call Wealth Beyond Wall Street now to get your free book and talk to a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose in the next market crash.
Call 800-436-8181 to discover this asset that people like Walt Disney and JCPenney use to grow wealthy. Plus, get one of just 97 free books left. We even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call 800-436-8181. 1-800-436-8181. That's 1-800-436-8181.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, where we'll get to your calls here in just a minute. Just kind of resetting the scene here. Donald Trump Jr. making some statements the other day, claiming that Democrats are hoping that innocent Americans, millions actually, of innocent Americans die of the coronavirus so that Donald Trump is not reelected in 2020. Here's what he said in an interview on television last week. Have a listen to this.
Anything that they can use to try to hurt Trump, they will. For them to try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning is a new level of sickness.
Well, here's a new level of sickness, ladies and gentlemen. The Vice President of the United States now saying that those comments were understandable. He was asked by Jake Tapper asking him this question over the weekend and it seems like he's defending Don Jr.'s comments. Here it is.
Can we agree that neither Democrats nor Republicans want Americans to get the coronavirus and die from it? I mean, that does seem like it seems like very extreme rhetoric. I don't expect you to criticize the president's son, but you don't think that Democrats want people to contract this disease, do you?
Well, I think what the president said earlier this week, and his charge to me is to remind the American people that the risk is low, to assure the American people that we're ready, but also to say, as the president said, this is no time for politics. And frankly, I think that was Don Jr.'s point, that there has been some very strong rhetoric directed at the president by some members of Congress and
you don't think that was strong rhetoric?
Well,
he said seemingly Democrats want millions of Americans to die of coronavirus.
But responding to the kind of things that have been hurled is understandable.
Yeah, okay. Let me just be very clear here, okay? He dodged that question and then 100%. At the end defended it, but he dodged that question just like the president of the United States dodged the military with his stupid bone spurs. Okay? Make no mistake about it. We're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call is 702-257-5396. Are you comfortable with the president's son making those comments? Are you comfortable with the vice president doubling down, saying that Don Jr.'s comments were understandable? It is utterly disgusting. Again, that number 257-5396. Let's go to Chris, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Chris, what's going on?
How are you today?
What's up, Chris?
What's
First
up?
of all, I listen to your show. I'm a Republican, self-employed in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most people that are Republicans, I believe, just want to make a living. They don't want to get into all the politics.
I think
They
most
just
Americans feel that way.
Exactly. And I don't like the division that it's come up in the world today with the Democrats versus Republicans.
What's this have to do with what we're talking about with the coronavirus and comments made by the president's son and the vice president?
Well, what I'm saying is that as a Republican, I don't believe anything that politicians say, meaning whatever those politicians say to be on TV or to put themselves in light, you can't believe a word a politician's saying, regardless.
Well, then how are you a Republican? Why are you a Republican then if you don't believe in politics or what politicians are talking about when they're talking about their viewpoint or their ideology? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you have to pick a side in life, right? I'm an older man, right? We have to pay attention to the economy and what we make, how we make it. We have kids, families, stuff like that. You know, you learn along the way to take a side.
Chris, I understand. Chris, I understand your point to an extent, but I got to tell you, I don't have to pick a side, and that's why I'm an independent. I just call it as I see it. I respect your opinion. I understand where you're coming from. The only point I'm trying to make, Chris, and listen, make no mistake about it, I'm not trying to say Democrats, some Democrats don't play political games, and the majority of them do. Okay, I understand what you're saying. With that being said, in this specific situation, Chris, I think you agree with me. The vice president of the United States and the president's son basically saying that Democrats want millions of innocent Americans to die so that Donald Trump
Well, the vice president didn't say that. Don
but
Jr.
he's doubling down.
The
on
vice
it.
president rationalized around the comments.
I understand,
yes,
but he said
did.
it was understandable.
I just want to
so
point that out. Yeah,
he
because
said
you're saying that.
He said he's understandable,
Yeah.
so I am putting him in that category,
Okay.
Chris.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say here is that it is beyond the realm of ridiculous.
But don't you agree with all the bitter hatreds lately? I mean, I live around a lot of different ethnicities, and there's separation in the community, which should not be there with the Democrat versus Republican thing. We are all just trying to make it through life. And to quote what these people say and hold it to a high standard, you can't believe a word these politicians are saying, whether they're Democrat or Republican. I don't believe half the stuff Trump says anyway.
Okay, so Chris, here's where I disagree with you. I think here's where we disagree. I disagree in this sense. I think the president's words matter, and they absolutely should matter. He's the leader of the free world. I believe the vice president's words matter.
Yep.
While I get what you're saying, and I understand that you can't hold what the words that every single politician says and to a high, I get that. I think I understand what you're saying. At the same time, Chris, we're talking about the president, his family, and the vice president, I think their words do matter.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really likes Trump because he's been on TV. He's well hated. All right. But you've got to look at what his accomplishments are as far as a working man. A working man in this town for 20 years. We want to just make money. And history shows
All right.
that.
So let me ask you a question.
You're saying you don't think people like Trump as a human being?
What's that?
Of course not. That's what he's
No,
saying.
that's what
I
you're
want to
saying.
ask.
I think that's obvious, though.
Well, I
Yeah.
want to ask Chris
There's
a
probably some
question.
truth to
Chris,
that.
because maybe you could educate me. What policies?
The working man. Yeah.
What policies has specifically President Donald Trump put in place to help the working man?
I don't think there's much he's been able to do. And I'm not happy with that at all.
Whoa. You just came out and said that you believe that what the president has been able to do in his 3.5 years has benefited the working man. I would contend this. I would say he's benefited your boss. He's benefited the top 1% of this country with the 2017 tax cut. Well, but you know what? You understand the point I'm trying to make here. You're saying the working man has benefited by President Trump's either policies, procedures, whatever. But you just pointed out that you think he hasn't done anything. Chris, you just said right now he hasn't done anything.
Not for me personally. You ask what he's done for me.
Okay.
He hasn't done anything for me personally.
Okay.
All right. As far as the economy, we're in a microclimate here. Everything is different in Las Vegas. But outside of Las Vegas, people are doing very well. They're able to feed their kids, take them to school, think good things, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like the hatred. Okay. At any rate, I could be an independent or a nobody, but I don't like the hatred that's
I understand.
going on between
Listen, Chris,
people.
I understand where you're coming from, my friend. I don't think anybody that is a reasonable human being like yourself likes the hatred, but I also think it's telling that, you say you're a Republican, and I believe everything you said. But with that being said, if you can't give me one policy that Trump has put in place to help you, quite frankly, I'm not sure how you can support him. That's just my personal opinion. Let's get back to the calls at 702-257-5396. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Morning.
Morning.
I called you guys the other day, and it's going to be the same thing I'm going to say today in relation to this subject. Is this really something new?
What, that the son of the president of the United States? Hold on a second.
We have the audio.
Hold on a second.
It's new.
Is this something new? Yes, it is actually, because Mike Pence did an interview yesterday on CNN with Jake Tapper, and he said it was understandable, the comments that Don Jr. made. He's the vice president of the United States. So yes, to answer your question,
before a lot of recent elections, Democrats have said if you elect Republicans, black churches are going to burn.
Can you please give me? Okay, hold on, Mike.
Over the roof.
All right, Mike, let's go with that. Mike,
thousands of Americans are going to die.
Okay, so Mike, let's go back to that. Can you please name me one Democrat that said that they believe that a Republican? Hold on a second. Let me finish my damn question before you interrupt me. Do you think that give me one Democrat that has said they want millions of African Americans dead? Okay, so that they can get their candidate to win. Please give me one Democrat that has ever said that in history that was running.
I didn't say I knew that.
Well, guess what?
Exactly.
That's exactly
Democrats
what we're talking about.
Said if you elect Republicans, thousands of people are going to die. Black churches are going to burn.
Well, first of all,
what specific Democrat said that? Yeah, what you name? Who was that? Who was the Democrat that said that?
Look.
No, I'm not.
Wait a minute! You can't just throw. Hey! Time out! You can't just throw out.
All
right, look.
On
you can't just throw out a general statement like that and then not have any facts to back it up.
Hey,
okay?
Mike,
I just saw a rainbow elephant the other day, and
so ridiculous.
It definitely happened. So you have to believe
and by the way,
Come on now.
By the way, let me just make a distinction here to this moron. Okay, saying that somebody believes based on policy that a couple thousand people could die, and saying that Democrats or a party want millions of people to die is a huge distinction. You don't sound to me like you're a math major, sir, but, minus a couple million, from 2000. 702-257-5.
By the way, breaking news.
Yeah, I know that. I was gonna go.
You were gonna
I
drop
have that. I have that. Yep. 702-257-5396. We'll get to the breaking news here in just a few minutes. I just want to get to a few more phone calls. Let's go to Dennis. Dennis, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
What's up, Dennis?
Hey, my name's Dennis, and I'll tell you right now, yes, I am a Republican. Very proud Republican. I wear a Donald Trump hat everywhere I go, and I get compliments everywhere I go wearing a hat. But I have a couple questions for you, if you won't mind asking them.
Okay.
You say you're not a biased person, but everything I hear from you is you bash the President of the United States.
So if I'm bashing one Republican, does that mean I'm biased?
Well, yeah, really it is.
Really?
And he's not even a Republican.
I've listened to you for a long time, and I never heard you bashing Obama when he was.
Well, you should have listened to the show last week because I was bashing Bernie Sanders for 90 minutes, and it's not my fault you weren't listening, sir, with all due respect.
Okay, but see, here you go. See, right now you're getting so offensive.
No, I'm not. You're just saying something that's incorrect, and you're calling up and you're calling me biased, and you don't have your facts, and you don't know. So
well, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. So what is my opinion on Barack Obama? Do you know my opinion on Barack Obama? Do you know my opinion on Mitt Romney?
Hillary Clinton.
Do you know my opinion on Hillary Clinton, sir?
I'm sure you love him.
Oh, see, there's where you're so wrong. No.
I'm sure you love him.
No, Dennis. No. Pot him down. You're not going to get away with that, sir. You're not going to get away with that. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton.
He absolutely does not like Hillary Clinton.
All right, let me say, I'm not a Hillary Clinton supporter.
No.
I would never vote for her. And guess what? I wasn't a huge fan of Barack Obama and his presidency. I didn't vote for President Obama either.
But he just said, I'm sure you love him, Brian.
Yeah.
That's what he just said.
So
that was one hell of an assumption.
To start the conversation, you are 150% wrong. And then you ask me why I get agitated.
But you understand why he's doing that.
Well, any idiot who thinks just because I don't like Donald Trump, I must be a liberal, I must be biased. You're assuming, and you're making an ass out of you, not me, by the way. So, Dennis, I will pod you back on the air so long as you admit that you made an assumption that was incorrect.
We'll get extra to the fact of
Did you listen to one word that I just said? Did you listen to one word?
Because you're not.
No, okay, goodbye.
Again, Brian,
Goodbye.
Our callers don't understand what it means when you say pod you down.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, JD? They just continue to talk, even if he does. If Brian says pod him down,
I don't want them on
the listeners, the people that are on the phone, they just continue to go.
I think they think it means that he's going to talk them down when it actually means that your volume is literally being turned down.
I don't want somebody who's going to.
We're not going to be able to.
But it is kind of funny hearing like that. They're still in the middle of their paragraph when they put pot him back up. I have to say that is rather humorous.
Guess what? If somebody is going to start a conversation and make gross assumptions that are,
you know what I mean, JD?
If somebody is going to start a conversation and make gross assumptions that are completely untrue, I'm not going to let them keep talking because I'm going to correct them and then give them an opportunity to say, "Oops, I'm sorry, I was wrong." This guy is a buffoon and he has no idea what he's talking about. Let's go back to the line, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Alan. Alan, you are next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Alan?
Hello, gentlemen. I hate to jump right into the fire. I'll make it quick. Some of the things that I benefited from were, I know they said only the rich receive tax breaks, but I received a tax break. I remember checking it closely, and I think I got about $80 more per paycheck twice a month.
And Alan,
that's true too. I'm on board with you. Yes.
What income range are you in right now? If I don't mind.
I'm in the I would say the 50 to 70 range.
Okay.
There.
All right, so let me ask you a question, Alan.
You're the definition of middle class.
Based on commission,
Okay.
Right. So,
Hey, Alan,
you're in sales then.
Alan, that is a reason to be.
Okay.
That is a reason that you would support Trump, and I respect that. But now let me ask you a question: were you one of those people over the course of 8 years that was complaining about Barack Obama and the deficit that he put forth? Did you have a problem with that?
I did. I was upset about that.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. There's a reason why. There's a reason why I asked that question, and the reason why I asked that question was because Donald Trump has accumulated more of a deficit in 3 years as president than Obama did in the first 3 years. So while you're getting an extra $80 every 2 months, we're accumulating more debt under Donald Trump than Barack Obama.
And so you're saying that he should feel bad about that?
I'm asking him his opinion on it.
No, you're making it seem like he should feel bad about the fact that he's bringing in $80 more every paycheck
let him
because
answer
Barack
the
Obama actually had a less deficit than Trump did, and maybe he's going to be part of that deficit.
Can we let the caller answer? Go ahead, Alan.
I did not realize that the deficit had ballooned that much under Trump. I'd have to look at that. I just remember it doubling from Bush to Obama. It doubled.
There's no question. And that you're right.
I didn't realize it had jumped that much under Trump. I knew it had gone up a little.
Right.
But again, I believe other people control some of the purse strings as well. I mean, government will never cut back on anything.
There is no question that I agree with you, number one, with what you just said about Barack Obama. We're in agreement. And I also agree with you that the president is not the only person that is in charge of what's going on with the deficit. But with that being said, Alan, you get my point. While I'm happy for you that you're making a little bit more money, I wish that upon all Americans, especially the ones that are not gazillionaires. The Republicans that had a problem with Obama with the deficit, the Republicans who call themselves fiscally responsible, never want to bring up the fact that Trump has increased the deficit in his first 3 years more than Obama did.
If you make more money now in your taxes because of Trump or on your paycheck because of Trump, you should feel bad about the fact that Trump's deficit is higher than Obama's was. And if you don't, then you're a hypocrite. That's basically what Brian is saying.
I mean, JD,
which I think is completely
JD
reasonable. Let me ask this:
JD once again is putting words in my mouth and has no idea what my opinion is on the issue. What a shocker!
How was your insurance situation? Oh, you're off the fly now. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, he's correct, though. There are a lot of working people, and that's why I wish that person that was the working man that called in earlier would have brought up the fact that if they do get a paycheck every 2 weeks, they're getting more money. Yes, it's the 2017 tax plan that was put forth is why, the deregulation, there's a bunch of reasons. Look, I'm not an economist.
No question.
But yes, there's a bunch of reasons why average Americans are getting more in their paycheck every 2 weeks than they did when Barack Obama was president.
So JD alluded to the breaking news a few minutes ago, so let's talk about that, JD. The breaking news, and I was slamming Amy.
It's lining up. It's lining up for Joe, guys.
I was slamming Amy Klobuchar for not bouncing out of the race. Well, it appears as though I give her credit now. She does the right thing. The day after, I questioned whether she would have done it if Buttigieg didn't do it first. But with that being said, she did the right thing. It is official now. Amy Klobuchar can eat salads with Combs for the rest of her career if she would like. But she is now out of the presidential race. And here's something that's important as well, because Pete Buttigieg has put his support for Joe Biden. Amy Klobuchar doing the exact same thing, endorsing Joe Biden, and she will be making that speech and that endorsement tonight in Dallas. So, gentlemen, your reaction to that?
This is what's happening, guys. It's called, the formulation of everybody lining up behind what's eventually going to be the Democratic candidate. I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to be that guy. I think Joe Biden is going to be the candidate, and this is kind of the proliferation of that. When you see two very prominent Democratic candidates in the Democratic primary bowing out within 24 hours. Oh, and by the way, just a matter of hours before Super Tuesday this takes place. Yeah. We can all see the writing on the wall, can't we? We understand what is going to take place here. It's going to be the moderates and the on one side of the Democratic Party that are going to be Joe Biden, and then the hard left that's going to be behind Bernie Sanders. They're going to fight it out, and we're going to find out before the Democratic National Convention who the nominee is going to be.
Yeah, it's now a three-headed race. It's
Elizabeth Warren still in there, yeah.
Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden. Now, how fast do you think that Warren drops out, Chris? Do you think she makes another couple of months, or do you think? How long do you think she has left in this race?
Off the top of my head, I would anticipate that she makes another 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's another 2 to 3 weeks, and then she ends up. And it's going to be interesting to see when it comes to her endorsement and who it is that because obviously we understand her relationship with Bernie Sanders, right? And a lot of her policy and her ideology aligns closer to Bernie Sanders than Joe Biden.
Right.
But there's also this frame of mind out there, JD and Brian, that a lot of Democrats have, and that's win at all costs, right? Michael Avenatti talked about it on our show many times. It's called whoever the Democratic nominee is, we are going to solidify ourselves behind that Democratic nominee in an effort to get Donald Trump out of office. That's going to be that's going to be the main focus, to be quite honest.
Based on her policy, just based on kind of how she presents herself and things that she said, she should endorse Bernie Sanders, but she's not going to. She's going to endorse Joe Biden. She's going to get some type of compensation for it. She has no background.
She's not endorsing Bloomberg. I know that.
That's not going to happen. She has absolutely no backbone whatsoever. So you're going to see her, despite the fact that everything she says and does is totally anti-Biden. She's going to endorse Joe Biden.
Well, you guys can disagree with me on this one.
And Klobuchar, she should have done this, a long time ago, in my opinion. She was a very, very questionable candidate.
Her numbers were so low, right? She had no chance. Anyway.
Bloomberg,
and the fact that she literally had her staffers give her a comb to eat salad with.
That's weird.
I mean, that's just very, very odd.
That's just strange.
That doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. Well, listen, you guys could disagree with me on this one, but Bloomberg had his opportunity. He proved that you cannot buy an election. Bloomberg had his opportunity in Vegas. He blew it that night, in my personal opinion.
He had a bad debate, no doubt.
And when you have your first debate, and there were a lot of people watching to see how he performed, he was horrible. And I believe he's done. I believe this is a two-man race now. I believe it's between all the money in the world's not going to help him. I think it's between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. This actually helps Biden more. The fact in the last 24 hours that Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar, listen, a lot of people that were supporting them are now going to, and I'm considering it, by the way.
Go right behind Biden.
I'm going to be honest with you. Now I'm considering that. Even though I've never been a big Joe Biden guy, I'm considering supporting him for that reason and that reason only. I mean, I was a big Pete Buttigieg guy. I really supported this man. So I haven't decided yet. but it's certainly making me think a little bit. And I think there's a lot of other people out there. They don't have to be Democrats. They could be in the middle. Maybe you are supporting Amy Klobuchar. Maybe you were supporting Pete Buttigieg. You learn that they're dropping out in hopes of not only helping the party, but helping Joe Biden. That's got to help Joe Biden. It certainly doesn't hurt him, that's for sure, right, guys?
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, right, to figure out that these two people that, in Klobuchar and Buttigieg, they're not backing up Bernie Sanders. They're backing up Joe Biden.
Right.
Okay, so it's just strictly, you can take a look at it from a numbers game, whatever you want to do.
They're doing that for their own political career.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why, because they can't back, Bernie Sanders, who basically 2 weeks ago said, I'm not going to let the Republicans steal the election from me, and I'm not going to let the Democrats steal the election from me. I mean, he basically just...
You're not going to make a lot of friends.
Established himself as a socialist, and you can't back a socialist at this point.
But JD, regardless of their...
Maybe in 5 to 10 years...
A lot of millennials are...
Yeah, that does make...
Yeah, but millennials don't vote, though. Right?
Bernie Sanders,
young people don't vote.
Bernie Sanders has support. He has support.
He does. Brian, you're right. He does have young people support in America. There's a
if
huge
you're
contingent.
under the age of 30, you're probably supporting Bernie Sanders.
But look at the numbers over the years when it comes to people that are under 30. Think about us, people who have been under 30.
I wish I was under 30.
And our viewpoint when it came to politics, young people don't vote.
Yeah.
Yes, we want everybody to expect that they have an input, right? That they have an influence when it comes to the political process.
But this election,
but at the end of the day, they don't vote.
I think young people are going to vote in droves in this election.
Okay, so
I do think that's going to happen.
I don't think that helps Donald Trump. I don't think that helps Donald Trump. I really don't.
It doesn't.
I think the younger you are, I think there's a better chance that you're probably voting on the Democratic side. That's my opinion.
Let me rephrase that. Young, broke people, entitled, who expect to get a lot of free things from the government, like the goth.
That's an extreme.
The goths from Bernie.
That's like me saying
that we had on our show.
That's like
a lot of people like that.
But JD, that's an extreme.
Who are hiding behind a cause and calling themselves marginalized will absolutely vote for Bernie.
But to me, that's an extreme.
There will be a lot of relatively well-to-do, we'll call them yuppies, who will vote for Donald Trump, I believe.
Well, I disagree, and I think that's an extreme. I could go the other route on an extreme and say white, rich, senior citizens are going to be voting for Donald Trump.
When did I say anything about race there, Brian?
I didn't say you
said
did.
Young.
I didn't say you did.
I said young.
I didn't say you said.
So don't include race there.
Okay, you're not listening to me.
I'm not going to listen to that.
I'm not
going to listen
You're not listening to me.
You include race in the conversation.
Will you listen to me for a second?
I mentioned
age. JD, listen. You're not listening to me.
That's it.
I said
nothing about race.
Okay, you're not listening to me. I said you had something that was extreme, and now I'm going to say something that's extreme.
That isn't. It's not even the same conversation, Brian.
Okay, well, that's your opinion.
I did not
it's extreme.
Race.
It's extreme.
Has nothing to do with race.
I didn't say you did.
You could say old
I didn't
rich.
Say you did.
You could say old rich.
Say you
I
did.
said young broke.
Okay.
You could say old rich.
So what?
And go on the other side. But don't.
I didn't say.
But don't.
Where did I say you said?
Don't trickle in the racism element.
Well, I just did because it's an extreme. That's an extreme.
That the majority of rich white men are going to vote for Donald Trump.
The majority of poor.
Don't trickle that in there. Don't subtly sneak that in there.
So you're telling me that you think the majority of wealthy white people are not voting for Donald Trump? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. I'm saying.
So am I wrong?
It's not necessarily the conversation.
So if I'm not wrong, then what's the issue with it? I don't understand. I'm saying that the majority of white, rich, older people are voting for Donald Trump. I think that's a very fair opinion.
And you could say the opposite, right? You could say that whoever the Democratic candidate is, right? The majority of non-white people in America, minorities, a.k.a. Asian Americans, a.k.a. African Americans, a.k.a. Latin Americans, are the majority of them will vote for the Democratic candidate, right? That's not outrageous to say.
It's not outrageous to, I think it's reasonable to think that, if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to be voting Democrat, most likely. And if you do have a lot of money, you're going to be voting on the right.
It should stop there. You shouldn't have to include if you don't have a lot of money.
No,
but JD, race is going to come into play, though.
Minorities, the majority of minorities vote Democrat. The majority of minorities vote Democrat. The majority of old white people vote Republican.
Historically, that has been the case, but we don't know that's going to happen again in 2020.
Our job is to give our opinions on it.
We honestly don't know.
But our job is to give our opinions on it and say what we think is going to happen. I think that the majority of rich, white, older people are going to vote for Donald Trump. I don't know why that's a ridiculous thing that would get you upset. I don't understand.
No, it's a total extreme. I said,
how is that an extreme?
I said young.
It's the 1%ers.
Young,
you're talking about.
Young,
or the 5%ers.
Young, broke people who are looking for some type of government subsidy or handout from the government or help from the government or literally, in this case, a takeover from the government.
And the opposite of that is what I said.
Are going to vote for Bernie Sanders.
Okay, well, we got to take a break. And I'm just saying the opposite. Rich people that want tax breaks are going to be voting for Republicans.
Why don't we just say socialists
and
versus
I believe,
capitalists?
And I believe the majority of those people are white.
And leave race out of the conversation.
No, because race is always a part of the conversation when it comes to politics. I think it's important to talk about that. The majority of minorities would probably vote for Bernie Sanders. The majority of non-minorities would vote for Donald Trump. It's just a fact. It's the makeup of the country. That's just the way people are voting. It doesn't mean everybody is going to vote one way or the other, but I think that's just a generalization, and we got to take a break. When we come back, I know JD was in Laughlin. We had some fun over the weekend, big league weekend. We're going to talk about our weekend coming up, and the Astros scandal continues. Coming up next.
Here is some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you sign up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, and it's worked beautifully for 25 years. They have more than 400,000 members now around the country. MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry, and over the years, members have shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills, so they could help share your needs too. And best of all, you could save a lot of money with MediShare. The typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. Your savings could be more or less, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. You're not stuck with a high-cost health plan. You can join MediShare anytime, so call them today and check it out. Here's the number to find out more, and there's no pressure. They are super easy to talk to. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Klobuchar drops out. Joe Biden is getting help from one-time rival. Senator Amy Klobuchar has dropped out of the Democratic presidential race to endorse Joe Biden ahead of tomorrow's Super Tuesday. Correspondent Kyung Law with the latest on this breaking news.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, according to a senior aide, will be announcing the end of her campaign this evening. She will fly to Dallas, where she will join former Vice President Joe Biden, and she will endorse him.
Pete Buttigieg ended his campaign last night, and correspondent Jeff Zeleny reports Biden and Buttigieg spoke on the phone last night.
The former Vice President asked Mayor Buttigieg for his endorsement. I'm told that Mayor Buttigieg said, look, I want to sleep on it. I want to sort of take all this in.
Buttigieg staffers say they do expect he will endorse Biden. The Democratic race now shapes up to be a Biden versus Sanders match, though Elizabeth Warren is still in it. I'm Mike Moss. The mayor of San Antonio, Texas, is livid that the CDC released a patient before test results showed that patient infected with the coronavirus.
The CDC is requesting people encouraging people to wash their hands to prevent the spread of the virus, as they would during this time of season. What we're trying to say is I also encourage the federal administration not to wash its hands of their responsibility to keep our people safe.
The head of the World Health Organization says the world is dealing with something it's not experienced before.
This is a unique virus with unique features. We are in uncharted territory.
Defense Secretary Esper says the U.S. will count on the good faith of the Taliban and begin to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. The Taliban says it won't abide by terms of that truce and will resume military operations. On Wall Street, the Dow up 730. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Watch for slowing for a crash reported on Boulder Highway at Sahara. There are no delays to report on the resort corridor. I-15 looks good north and southbound between Tropicana and the Spaghetti Bowl. And delay-free on the Southern Beltway. Just some light slowing in volume on the east side, westbound off the 95 to about Stephanie. Losing sleep over a stressful job or a bad boss? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Connect on the Express Jobs app or at expresspros.com. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
Regaining control of your drinking doesn't have to mean uncomfortable group settings or the unrealistic expectation of sobriety. Meet Life Back, a physician-approved, completely private, app-based program designed for those who want to cut back on drinking without having to quit completely. Using a combination of medication proven in clinical studies to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people and in-app coaching and support tools, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a habit or a need. Every aspect of your LifeBack plan is managed on our mobile app from the privacy of your phone, and medication is delivered directly to your doorstep without the need for in-person doctor appointments. Start the LifeBack program now and treat yourself to sharper focus, better health, stronger relationships, and saved money while still enjoying moderate drinking. Visit lifebac.com. That's lifebac.com. Get your life back today with LifeBack. Visit lifebac.com.
John Schaefer here for my friends at New Mail Medical. You know, I've been telling you about them for a while now, and here's why. Because they are the innovators. You know, anytime you have an original idea, an original concept, you have somebody that comes along and they see the success of that original concept. Then they try and make it their own, and unfortunately, it's usually just a cheap imitation. Well, not with New Mail Medical, because they are the ones who got out in front of this. Testosterone replacement, ED treatments, they're the ones who've been leading the way in the nation for sexual health procedures, and they've been providing tens of thousands of men in the Las Vegas area alone for the past 7 years with that help. New Mail Medical starts with your first visit, and they are going to be there with you every step of the way. After I went there for my first visit, I felt comfortable and relaxed knowing they could help guide me through any issue I had. NewMail.com. That's NUMALE.com. 702-505-4414. That's the number. Don't see a cheap imitation. Go to the originators. NewMail.com. 702-505-4414.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We got Chris Wynn sitting in studio. We have producer Steiny.
Steiner.
No, he doesn't like when I call him that. Jason Stein is our
Steiner.
producer. He's here as well, going to be a part of this conversation because, you know, we've had so much to talk about here the first couple hours, and we'll have more to talk about coming up here at the bottom of the hour as we get ready for the Mountain West Conference Tournament, UNLV Boise State on Thursday, and the senior associate commissioner will be joining us, Dave Butterly, coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But let's talk a little bit. Yeah, Butterly, that gets me hungry. Let's talk a little bit about our weekends. Start by saying that I was able to see Chris Reed from Kid and Play. He joined us in studio Friday, saw him Friday night downtown. I was amazed at how funny this guy was. Yeah. I was dying. This guy is a brilliant comedian. I mean, really, if he wanted to just tour and just do stand-up, he could do it. He is phenomenal. So that was great. Got a chance to say hello to him again, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm telling you, in studio, he was one of the funniest. We probably interviewed maybe 12 or 15 comedians on this show. He was by far the funniest interview we've ever had.
And he's not even really a comedian. That's the incredible part.
He's multi-talented, though, guys. I listened and watched that interview. His singing skills were on display.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, what he could do as far as a comedian. Yeah, you could see why he'd make a good stand-up comic.
We didn't even ask him about Colin Kaepernick.
No.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Major League Baseball now. Big League weekend, right? Yes. We had the Indians and we had the Oakland A's in town. I lost a substantial bet because I'm a degenerate, and I bet on preseason baseball. But with that being said, I want to describe with our producer, Jason Stein, about how the weekend started. So Jason Stein and I show up to the beautiful ballpark.
Yes.
And we were sitting in a seat in one of the suites, and it was a great seat. And
well, not in the suite.
Well, outside.
Let's stay in touch with the common man here.
Well, those were suite seats. They were outside of the suite, but part of the suite. But anyway, that's beside the point.
We're in the open air.
Who cares? That's beside the point. The point being is that we were looking for Chris Wynn.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. We were trying to figure out
where is our guy? Where is the Vegas Take correspondent?
So
what is he doing?
Stein, let Stein take over the conversation from here. Yeah. Go ahead, Stein.
No, the first thing we get there, we're supposed to meet Chris at the ballpark. We're supposed to meet him in the little press area. And I text him and I say, "Hey, what's the food situation?" And Wynn says, "Oh, I mean, they got eggs and they got bacon, and so it's a whole breakfast spread." Yes.
So
all right. So I said, "Hey, we're 5 minutes away. Save us a seat."
because people who cover sports, really what it's about is the food, right? So we're always trading notes.
We do
on
all of us comment
who's got
on the
what,
food.
you know,
Yeah.
who's serving what, and what's available, and whatever. Anyway, so we go, we show up. Chris is nowhere to be found. There is a buffet set up. The eggs are gone. The eggs are completely gone. So first of all, I know Chris has been there,
and he agreed that he finished off the eggs.
And there was just probably 6 to 7 ounces of eggs left in the container. And
how many eggs is that?
I had to partake, and I had to make sure that I emptied them out so they could bring them
So
fresh
we're
order in
already.
there.
So we're
So
already
yes, I did.
pissed
I
off.
powered them down.
So Stein, go ahead. We're already
glad
pissed
you're taking
off.
responsibility for that,
we're
Chris.
already pissed off.
Yes.
The eggs are gone. Chris is nowhere to be found, so we quickly eat our scraps that Chris
Our
left
breakfast
us.
minus the eggs,
Our
right?
breakfast scraps. And we go and I take our seats, and we're still looking for Chris. He's not answering his phone.
Yep.
And we look at, wait a second, is that Seawan on the field? And it was. He's wearing his porn shirt. What is it? What did it say?
It was
Adult time?
adult. I think it said adult time, and on the back it says keep them coming, but it spells coming.
All right, hold on.
C-O-M-I-N-G.
Let me just explain.
But-
we went to the Adult Entertainment Expo with
did.
CWIN, and they give out free shirts at these like
And it's
adult.
a cool T-shirt.
Yeah,
It's
so
black.
He's, so he's wearing
good.
a
I
porn.
like it.
He's wearing a porn T-shirt in jeans.
Yes.
As a member of the media walking
Yes.
on the field.
Yeah. Full disclosure. I'm on the field doing. I'm actually, I was partaking in getting the atmosphere from a visual aspect.
your
I was
phone.
taking pictures
With
with.
your phone.
No, hey, I had to be on the field because I was taking pictures of showgirls, okay, with mascots and getting the whole vibe. I had, obviously a couple of the key players from both the Oakland A's and the Cleveland Indians are on the field. So I'm down there. It wasn't like I'm down there as a fan, just kind of like taking in the whole thing.
Well-
there was a whole purpose to it, but. The story gets better, right?
He didn't have
Stein?
he's
The
hanging
story gets
around.
better.
He's walking around with the likes of the TV stations
Exactly.
that have like the real cameras.
And
he's
I have
out
my-
there.
my phone.
He's out there with his
He's
porn
got his
shirt.
Obama phone.
Yeah, he's out
Yeah.
there with his Obama phone and his porn shirt.
These guys have tucked in shirts with polos.
Oh,
with
yeah.
They're
their,
working.
with their
They're
company
TV
branded
people,
on it.
though.
Right,
They were radio
exactly.
people.
Or I'm
There's
sure-
a difference.
Or maybe Brian Salmo was there with some
So
type
anyway,
of suit
he's-
on.
so
and-
he's-
and
he's
there-
down
and there's
there,
Seawan
and then
in
there's-
his porn shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
So
get
he's-
what we're trying to portray.
So there he is behind
it's
home
an interesting
plate.
dynamic.
So anyway,
He's down there
Stein,
behind home
here we go.
plate, and all of a sudden, as he's sitting there with his little Obama phone taking pictures of all the players and everything, all of a sudden they announce the national anthem's about to start. So Chris
He's
has to
trapped.
stop. He's trapped. He's stuck in his own tracks. He has to
In the
stop
dugout, he's
what
trapped.
he's doing.
He's trapped.
And where did I
he's-
have to
he's
stop,
in-
Stein?
He's next to the coach.
And what's his name?
They're lined up
I'm-
along the third base
Myself
side
and
with their
another
hands over their hearts.
photog
And
and
who was the
broadcaster
player,
from a
right?
TV.
The all-star that was standing right next to you?
It was Francisco Lindor wasn't right next to me, but he was over by. The reason I was over there is because I was taking
right,
photos.
so guys, picture
He's
this.
there in the starting
of
lineup.
the best player in the building, of the best player in the
guys,
stadium.
hold on, let me just
Yes.
set the picture. Picture Chris
That's
Wynn.
why I was there.
If you know what Chris Wynn looks like.
But it was funny.
Okay, picture Chris
was very
Wynn.
funny.
Yeah.
Picture Chris Wynn in jeans and wearing a porn shirt, standing, putting his hand over his heart
Next
in
to
a
the coach.
lineup right
I
next
did.
to
The manager.
I
the
have to pay
manager
respect
and the
as a
team.
veteran. I have to pay my respect to my country when the national anthem
Right.
is playing.
So you have this row of players in Cleveland Indians
Yes.
jerseys, right? And then at the very end of the line, or at the front of the line, is Chris Wynn in his porn shirt.
Yes.
Right next to the manager of the Cleveland Indians.
Exactly.
Doing the national anthem.
100% true.
And then we laughed at him some more.
Yes. And
So-
so I found my way up to the box where
Yes.
Brian and Stein had found. And look, there was a bunch of us up there.
Yeah.
And that was rather a tremendous spot there.
So the A's mascot, I forgot his name, but the
Stomper.
Stomper is
The elephant.
He's a big elephant. No, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the A's mascot.
Yes.
And he has this drum, and he's
This is
beating a
funny
drum. Da, 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 da. Because people are rooting for the A's. Because
Yes.
technically it's an A's home game.
Mm-hmm.
So as he's doing that literally a foot away from me, I go, go, Knights, go. And he looks at me, and then he does it again. Da, 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 da. Go, Knights, go. Because I'm just trying to be a jerk, you know? He looks at me, the mascot. He's visibly upset. He puts both his arms on his waist and gives me the look. And then he does the Sharks.
the San Jose Shark chomp that they do inside the arena for the Sharks
Stomper was throwing shade.
clearly would agitate any of the fans there in attendance who are nice
So
fans.
Brian
obviously.
Salmon is sitting behind us. If you don't know who Brian is, he's the lead sports anchor for
Friend
Channel
of the
3.
show.
He actually recorded that exchange and he posted it on Twitter. And Stomper retweeted it. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
It was. But anyway, the game was fun. Other than the fact that I lost a lot of money on the game, the game was fun. And I'm looking forward this weekend to Cubs in action.
Yes.
I believe it
Against
is
the
against the
Cincinnati
Cincinnati
Wait,
Reds.
so are you saying that the A's lost?
No, the
No,
A's
the A's
won.
won both games.
He
Bet on
bet
the
against
Indians.
the A's.
The Indians
Yeah.
were up 5-1,
Yeah.
and they lost the game.
JD,
You bet the Indians?
JD, this
Yes.
was textbook spring training baseball.
Yeah.
The Indians go up 5-1,
Anybody
okay,
who
and then they
bets-
end up coughing up the lead,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
down 6-5. They end up the Indians end up tying it up, and then 2-run
So
homer right late.
Why would you bet against the A's?
I'm not going to answer
at the Aviators Stadium.
Well, I would ask you the same question.
Would
Number one,
why would you do that?
Okay, well, I will.
Did you bet $1,000?
I will
How much did you
Stein,
bet?
this is turning into a critique
I
of
will-
Brian's betting
I will
practice.
answer- I will answer-
Anyone who
Yeah.
bets spring training is a degenerate gambler.
I will
first of all.
answer. I will answer
a
that
sick man.
question by asking you one.
Okay, what?
Why in the world would you be hanging out in Laughlin over there? We're going to hanging out at the Avi Casino in the middle of the night, watching fights breaking out while playing $5 craps.
First of all, I didn't even get to tell my story yet, Brian.
Well, he kind of set it up for you because
I
we want to
realize
hear the
that.
details, JD.
I gave you a T-ball.
Right.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the T-ball question. So I went to Laughlin, Nevada for the first time in my life this weekend.
Really?
And I chose to. The reason I went there is my buddy, it was his birthday, and he purchased tickets to Kiss. And so I did get to see Kiss.
Mini Kiss?
I'm
No,
not.
the
I'm
real
talking.
one.
I'm
The real
talking.
Kiss?
I'm talking. Paul Stanley.
The real Kiss
I'm
played in
talking.
Laughlin?
I'm talking.
Yeah, Gene Simmons.
At the
Wow.
They did.
The real guys.
an outdoor venue, the Laughlin Event Center. Honest to God, it may have been the best show I've ever seen in my entire life. These guys are senior citizens. Paul Stanley is 68. Gene Simmons is 70. And I am shocked the show was that good. The pyrotechnics were unbelievable. Paul Stanley's voice is still on point. Gene Simmons does the exact same thing. It's their farewell tour. So I got to see this. I got to see this Kiss show, and it's one of those things when you watch these guys. I mean, the drummer he's 61. Tommy Thayer, the lead guitarist, Spaceman, he's 60. I mean, these guys are 27 years older
I
than
didn't
me.
know you were such a
at the
Kiss
minimum.
mega fan.
I'm not a Kiss.
Never knew that.
I'm not a Kiss mega fan, but it felt great to see a legendary band. And these guys, they're still rock stars.
So why?
I mean,
Okay.
After watching those guys on stage,
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that rock stars. I mean, being a rock star, it never really fades.
All right,
I'm
what
telling you,
about-
these
okay,
guys
so
are
here's-
these guys are twice as old as I am.
I understand.
They're in great shape. They're singing their dance for 3 hours, dressed up in this very aggressive attire.
I want to.
It's
Here's
just-
what
it's
I
just
hear.
nuts.
Okay, but here's what
What
also.
do you hear, Brian?
Here's what I also think is nuts. I'm glad you had a good time at the show, by the way, and I've seen
Right.
Kiss as well. I actually saw them do a show without makeup. That was actually more freaky than with makeup. But I actually did. Actually, that's a true story at the Orleans. But my question is, I don't want to hear about rock stars. I want to hear why a man in his early 30s, like yourself, a lavish-looking gentleman like yourself, would be staying at Avi Casino, which is a casino
first of all,
25 minutes from
it's
the
not
Laughlin
25
Strip.
minutes. It's probably 12 to 15 minutes.
Why would you be staying there?
I didn't know where to stay. My buddy who bought the tickets, he was already staying there. I have a daughter, and they have something called a Kids Quest. Kids Quest, like I can just bring it's like a day.
Just
quiz.
drop them off in an
Yeah,
arcade.
I
and
can just
go.
drop. It's not really an arcade, but it's a place where my daughter gets food and they change her diaper and whatever else. And so
So basically everything you don't do. Is that what you're trying to say?
I dropped her off. I dropped her off.
They changed
there.
the diapers to some of the Kiss fans too?
But that's why we stayed
That's a
there.
good question.
Okay,
That's a good
anyways,
question.
but that's why we stayed there. But so I'm playing craps at 1:30 in the morning after the Kiss show, and there's these three guys, and there's like seven of us around the table, and three of the guys are starting to argue about this girl, and it's not even a girl. This woman's like 55 to 57 years old, but she's standing next to this 28 probably year old guy, and he's hitting on her, and I guess this woman was with another guy who's about 26. And the 26-year-old confronts the 28-year-old, and they've each got two friends behind each other. The 26-year-old is, I see him reach, and he's probably 5'5", 120
So
pounds.
this is
not
a
big
fight
guy.
at the Avi Casino.
Right in front of right in the entrance, right in front of the craps
Right.
table. I see this guy reach for his waist, and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, someone's going to get shot
Wrong
here.
place, wrong time.
Yeah,
It's
nuts.
time-
Seven
JD's
out,
thinking-
seven out, line away. Let's get out of here.
So one of the guys pushes the other guy, and one security guard. I'm talking, if this happened in Las Vegas, even at Ellis Island, like there'd be five guards
there would.
swarming. One security guard. This guy, he was probably 5'10", 300 pounds. I mean, just sloppy heavy. Not an athlete. He wasn't going to do
Don't
anything.
talk about Chris Wynn.
I'm
like
not
that.
talking about Chris Wynn. But I'm saying this guy, this one security guard walks up and just stares at people. So the guys,
Wait, you didn't take any action?
Just listen, Chris.
You didn't do anything?
So the actual guys,
listen.
The actual guys at the crap table, they're the one that separate the fight. So the security guard just stands in front of the entrance, and these three guys, they loom. They basically step across, like they probably step 10 steps back, and they just stare. They're allowed to sit there and stare at the other guy. for 5 straight minutes. I mean, they're not asked to leave. Another security guard doesn't show up.
Do you think they had a weapon
And
on
it was,
them?
I'm telling you, Brian, I saw him reach for his waist.
So you think he might have had a weapon?
It would not shock me at all if there was a weapon. All I know is that I took about 10 steps back myself.
Instead of the
and
comment
basically
at the craps line, instead of come and don't come, it should have been live or don't live.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the
it
live.
was. I'm telling you, it was not an experience.
Can I get odds on that,
I'd like
please?
to have again. That being said, I was and all I
Okay,
could
so
all I could tell the
question.
craps dealer was
Did
that
you
I
continue to gamble while this was going on?
Yeah, I was gambling.
And you're calling me a degenerate.
I was gambling most of the time.
The guy is playing $5 craps, doesn't pick up his chips when he thinks that there
Again.
might be a murder right in front of him.
Until I saw.
I'm the degenerate.
Until you are, Brian. If you're betting spring training against the against the team,
you're betting $5 craps when two guys might
I'm
kill
playing,
each other.
I'm playing very minimal craps where I'm buying for $100. You're betting $1,000.
It's not the money. I'm not going to die if I lose $1,000 on a spring training game. You could have died.
And so this
by
isn't
a MAGA
this isn't
supporter.
even in downtown Laughlin, right? This is in the outskirts of Laughlin. We're talking.
All right, gentlemen.
The point is, the security guard didn't even separate the two groups, and then he let them just stare at each other and didn't kick them out. It's
the Old West.
And all I told the craps, the craps
Live and
dealer
let
at the
live,
time,
man.
I said, "Hey, man, this would never ever fly in Las Vegas, ever." I don't care if it's
can I
the
ask a
smallest
question?
casino in Vegas. They're getting thrown out.
Give me a
They're
$5
getting-
hard
they're
six.
They're getting
okay,
86.
and this would never happen in Vegas.
I was just shocked that it happened that way.
I gave that to one of my dates over the weekend. That's another story for another show.
But that being said, Kiss was unbelievable.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
I have a newfound respect for senior citizen rock
Well,
stars.
listen, there's a reason why they've made a lot of money. They're obviously very good entertainers.
I mean, they're
okay, so let me ask a question.
unbelievable.
Chris and Stein, you and me stay out of this. I'm just going to ask the question, JD. What would consider yourself a bigger degenerate? And be honest. I won't be offended.
Okay.
Somebody who lost $1,000 on a spring training base. Hold on. $1,200, fine.
You bet 12 to win 1,000.
Let me finish the question. I told you, you got to stay out of it.
Minus 120.
I got to stay out
Fire
of it.
Fire away, Brian.
Who's done pretty well in gambling, by the way, over the course of several months? Had a pretty
That has
good-
nothing to do with the question.
Okay,
no.
fine.
Yeah.
Somebody who bets that kind of money, or somebody who is sitting at a craps table at 2 a.m. in Abbey Casino.
1:30.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1:30 in the morning. Thinks
Don't
that
embellish the story.
there's a fight going on and there might be a gun on one of the persons because he reached his waistband. Doesn't leave the area, continues to play $5 craps.
Again, Brian, I took 10 steps back when that took place.
Well, that'll really save your life if somebody has a gun. You're absolutely right. I mean, the bullet won't go more than 10 feet.
It makes it much less likely for me.
Okay.
And there was 5 or 6 people in front of me.
You didn't pick up your chips. You continued to play and have a conversation. Okay, guys, gentlemen, go.
My answer to that question is this. It's you, Brian, and it's for this reason. It's for the sheer amount of money you bet on something that JD just described.
By the way, you
You're
owe me
betting
money. Are you
on-
going to pay me today?
I absolutely am.
Okay.
And by the way, you're betting on spring training baseball, okay? Period, full stop.
Stein?
With JD,
All right.
his
We
situation,
got
the
your
reason
opinion.
why yours is, in my opinion, more degenerate, JD's just embarking on,
I'm in the wrong
on
place
a
at the wrong
setting.
time.
Yeah, he's in the wrong place, wrong
Brian-
time. And it doesn't matter how much he was betting a low amount, but that
Right.
really doesn't matter. He was just having an experience
point is-
where he was in a casino.
Sounds like a great
Brian,
experience.
It's the
when I
fact
think
that
I
you're
might
betting
die.
preseason
Brian,
minor league,
let
Cactus
Stein
League
answer.
baseball that
Not
makes
even-
it more
It's
degenerate.
not even Cactus League.
Yes,
These don't
you know
even,
what I
couldn't even
mean.
count in the standings.
Go ahead,
And it was
Stein.
split squad.
I mean,
JD, split
completely-
squad, by the way, too.
Completely irrelevant game.
Stein?
But just because Brian is there,
Let Stein answer the question.
You assume the risk. Just because you're there, you want action on a game. You have to have
I
that
can
type
tell
of
you
And
what
you
I
action
didn't
on
just
the
put
game.
10 or $20 on it like I
Okay.
do. You put,
Let
because by the way,
Stein
I had a
answer the
wager on the
question.
other team. It was,
Oh
you put
my
$1,200
God.
on it. That's
All
why.
right, you could have just been Brian or JD. You didn't have to give us a 10-minute reasoning. Go ahead, Stein.
I also think Brian in this situation is the bigger degenerate. And here's why. I don't think JD not getting up from the craps table has anything to do with gambling. I think he's just an oblivious, dense guy. And that's just who he is.
I don't think that's like a backhand.
I don't know if that's
compliment.
necessarily. Yeah,
He just he just kind of.
I would describe him as aloof, Stein. Right?
Yeah, okay,
He's an
fine.
aloof guy.
Every now and then I can be aloof.
Yes.
I'll agree with that.
So I think he was just being himself.
Well, here's a question, Brian.
Dents insinuates
Whereas
that
you
something
made
about
that
intelligence.
calculated
Yeah. It was
decision to bet
insinuated
that
you're not
kind of
smart.
money.
Well, and here's the question, Brian. How much? You said you bet $1,200. So Stein said you bet. How much of that, in relation to your net worth, what's the proportion there?
I'm not going
Honest to God.
to answer
Is
that
it?
question.
Is,
Yeah, that's
is it?
personal finances.
Is it more than 10%?
No, that's a personal
Yeah,
question.
is it more than 10%?
No. Okay, will you answer a personal question for me then?
What's up?
How many times did you have sex with your wife over the weekend?
Brian, that's totally irrelevant. That has nothing to do
All
with
right,
money.
so Brian, here's
what
the
I'm
deal.
saying is, if you're betting, if you're betting more than 10% of your net worth,
I will
on
answer
on a spring
okay,
on a
so
spring
can I answer?
We
training-
gotta shift,
Can I
Brian.
answer?
on a spring training game that you
Okay.
can't control
Will you answer my question if I answer yours?
at the
Yes or
Aviators
no?
game.
Will you answer my
that's- I mean,
question if I answer yours? It's a personal
no,
question.
it's
It makes
not-
you
no,
uncomfortable.
just
This
'cause-
question makes me
Brian,
uncomfortable. I answer it, though.
Just because it's personal doesn't mean.
So you won't answer my personal question, but you want me to answer yours. I'll answer yours. It makes me uncomfortable. I want to make you uncomfortable.
My question to you is within the realm of our conversation. Your question to me is going outside of it because you're so embarrassed by my question to you.
Outside the box, Stein. First of all,
First
of all, it is inside the box, literally. Because it was in Laughlin, number one, and it was in your Avi hotel room. So, with all due respect, I disagree with you.
No, it's not.
I will
even
answer
close.
your question
It's
if you
all,
answer.
It's all about
answer
it's
the
all
question.
about betting, and gambling, and being a degenerate.
All right, I think the answer is no. The answer is no.
Again,
Brian, so the answer is no.
You don't have to answer the question, Brian. That's fine.
Okay, I'll
Brian,
answer.
this is a good
Hold
time.
on, let me answer the question.
You don't
Even
have
though
to.
he's a coward and he won't answer my question. The answer is no. That was not 10% of worth. I have more, and I'm being completely 100% honest. I'll show you my bank account if you don't believe me. I have more money than that.
Okay. Okay.
I swear to God, on my
All right.
life, on my life.
So Brian,
So
and
answer
JD,
my question. Is it? Hold on, wait, stop.
think
I'm a
this
poker
is-
player. Stop. I'm a
Okay,
poker
Brian,
player.
I have absolutely,
poker
I have
player.
absolutely no reason to answer your question at all.
Did you have sex with your wife?
Brian, I'm not going to answer that
The
question.
answer is no. He was with his daughter. The answer is no.
That
You
is-
got, hey, Shaq, you got rope-a-doped, okay? You got rope-a-doped. What are you going to do? But I think this is an appropriate time, though, to shift to Sunday, what
Yes.
took place when we
Yes.
had an opportunity to go to our friend of the show, Steve Sears' house,
Yes.
for
Go
a
ahead,
little
Chris.
Sunday soiree.
Explain who Steve
What's
Sears
always
is.
fun about going to our friend Steve's house
Nobody
is
knows
there's-
who he is. Tell-
Steve Sears is a very prominent, obviously someone who has worked here in Las Vegas for a number of years as a casino host. He has a great book, Whale in the Desert, I
Yep,
believe,
yep.
that's out. A tremendous amount of stories. But Steve is a guy with he's a character, right? He's somebody that is very intriguing to us. So when we get an opportunity to go to his house, it's always fun because there's always a nice mix, an eclectic mix of people that go to his
He has
house.
awesome,
right?
awesome friends.
He has awesome friends that are they're a lot of fun to hang out with, and his house is always fun. The last time
And
we
it
were
was
there
even more
for
awesome.
Championship Sunday.
And it was even more awesome because Stein didn't want to go.
And so, unfortunately, both Jason Stein and
I was
JD
working.
did not go with us.
I never get to go to these parties.
So it's
Ever.
No, because your car registration isn't up to
No,
date.
whatever it is, whatever the reason it is, I'm always doing something else.
Yeah, we always get sidetracked by something like this, right? So we go to the party. Brian and myself go
Stein's
to the party.
being very rude to JD today, I must say. More rude than I am usually. Would you agree, JD, that Stein is being very combative with you this morning?
Considering how respectful I am to Stein and how
You
often I stand
expect
up
this
to
from
him
me.
or stand up for him on a regular basis, I would agree with
You
you.
remind me of my
JD,
father.
JD, you expect this from me. I'm going to be an a-hole.
Again,
This is something you expect. But
I
hey,
do. I
at
do.
least
You're
give me
right.
credit. I'm consistent. Would you agree with that?
I have no problem with your
Okay,
consistency, Brian.
Okay, go ahead.
So we end up at this party, right? And as I mentioned, there's characters all over the place, right? There's people all different age ranges, all different, interests, all different. I mean, you could walk to literally each different person and get different stories, and it'd be an interesting place to be. So we end up. What's the one thing, guys, when you go to a party or you go to a bar or you go to an establishment and there's alcohol involved, there's other things. What are the things that you're not supposed to talk about? What are those things that you should not necessarily get into with people that you don't know
Religion
from
and
before?
politics.
Absolutely. So, of course, once we start racking
started
back a
that.
couple of cocktails,
Yeah.
right? We are in the middle of this bar in Steve's house, and there's 4 or 5 of us around.
With
and,
a Trump supporter.
And none of us, we haven't met each other before this day.
So what do
right?
I do?
We
Hold
know
on.
nothing
Can I take
about him.
this over?
So no, I'm going to point this out.
Quickly.
So what do we know about Brian Shapiro when there's an opportunity to create, to take the knife and twist it a little bit? When there's an opportunity to get people fired up, right? Where there's an opportunity to instigate things. Brian Shapiro took advantage of it. There was a Trump supporter that was with us, Marty, I believe his name was, a fellow casino host here in Las Vegas, and we start talking politics, right? And so you never thought that it would go this direction. And considering a lot of those people don't know each other before that moment you meet,
But long
so you don't
story
really want to
short-
go there. So long story short, Brian, you can take it from there.
I went to my car and I happened to have my Donald Trump hat in my car. 2020 Donald Trump hat. So I went in my car
With
and
the orange hair?
I got to
Yes.
tell you something. It was a smash hit at this party. I had the beautiful women at this party that were, oh my God, I love your hat, taking it off. They were putting it on. We were taking pictures with it on their Instagram pages. They thought it was the funniest thing ever. I will say this though, Donald Trump wearing one of the with the hats with an African American wearing one of those hats is funny. It's funny
Yes.
to me. Okay, it was funny, and it was a smash hit at the party. It kind of mellowed down the conversation.
Exactly.
People were laughing. So I did a good job of kind of settling down the conversation a little bit. Tons of beautiful women at this party. Great food. Steve Sear is one of the best party hosts in the world. To end the weekend,
Did he make
JD,
his chicken wings?
He did.
Oh,
To end the
Those are
weekend,
tap house,
JD,
Yes.
we're at Chris
Yeah.
Wynn's house
So
last
we go to
night.
my house. Okay.
And by the way, I recorded some great videos of Chris because he went on some tangents last night, but we won't get into that. But anyway, Chris said, I'm going to bet the over on the Vegas Golden Knights game. So the over-under was 5.5. We only have a minute here. We got to go to break.
Okay.
The score was 4-1 through 1.5 periods, right?
Yes.
There was 30 minutes.
Most of the second period.
Yeah, there was 30 minutes of hockey left to be played. Not only did they not score in the rest of the second period, they don't score in the third period until 4 minutes to go. DeBauer had an open net. They were down 4-1. And he opened net down 4-1 with 4 minutes to go. We said, Chris, you got it. It's a lock.
It's a lock.
In 4 minutes, the odds have to be 50-1 that there's not going to be at least one goal scored. They don't score 3 minutes of an open net, and then the Knights coach decides to put the goalie back in the net.
But your rationale in that game is that, hey, I want to score as many goals as I can, but they don't do it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
We got to take a break.
It was a bad beat. It was a horrible beat.
It was a bad beat.
Yes.
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, the Senior Associate Commissioner of the Mountain West will be joining us. The Mountain West Conference Tournament is underway. We'll get to Dan Butterly coming up next on the Vegas Take.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Poor Sam's was a mess. Always itching, licking. His paws were soaking wet. He had bald spots on his back. DINOVITE.com. 2 weeks after he started Dynamite, I started seeing great improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent. Dynavite is nutrition. Dynavite is the best thing you can do for your dog.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Amy Klobuchar, the moderate Democratic senator from Minnesota, is ending her bid for the party presidential nomination and is expected to fly to Texas today to deliver an important endorsement of Joe Biden. Correspondent Kyung Law reports the move is seen as a way to bring moderate Democrats behind Biden.
The senator who has had a tough run of it in Nevada and South Carolina, finishing 6th there, seeing Tom Steyer and Pete Buttigieg, both of whom dropped out, who did better than her in those 2 states. She is trying to consolidate the moderate vote.
Staffers for Pete Buttigieg say they expect the former candidate who ended his campaign last night will also endorse Biden in a move to give Biden greater strength against Bernie Sanders. Klobuchar's departure leaves 5 Democrats in the race, including Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. A crash reported Tropicana at Pecos. An injury crash at Stewart at Madge Lane. Police and fire at the scene. And watch for slow and go in the area. Taking a look at our freeways on the 95, east side, west side. Still looking good with no delays to report inbound to the Spaghetti Bowl. And no slowing on the resort corridor north or southbound. Although traffic's a bit heavier on the northbound side between Trop and Flamingo. Losing sleep over a stressful job or a bad boss? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Connect on the Express.
President Trump has been exonerated, and now there's something every real American ought to have. Limited edition Trump 2020 American Eagle Silver Dollars. Celebrate Trump's historic victory with limited edition American Silver Eagles, specially priced from govmint.com. Just call 1-800-895-7664. Hold the weight of democracy in your hand with new, perfect, uncirculated condition Silver Eagle coins. These historic coins, signed into law by Reagan, have been America's money since 1986. To secure your new limited edition Trump 2020 American Eagle Silver Dollar coins, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now and we'll give you a free Trump 2020 Patriots Pack, including a Declaration of Independence commemorative and 5 Lincoln cents when you order. Call now to secure your silver dollar coins. Plus, get your free Trump 2020 Patriots pack, valued at over $10, free with every order. 1-800-895-7664. That's 1-800-895-7664.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you: printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Monday. You know, I'm excited, folks. I'm excited because what a great sports week this is going to be. Of course, we have the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, BYU. Should be a great tournament at the Orleans. I believe those men's games start on Thursday. We've got Big League Weekend that happened over the weekend, and now this weekend the Cubs are in town. But I'm really looking forward to the Mountain West Conference tournament, not just because we covered UNLV, and I think it's going to be a great game against Boise State on Thursday, but you get to watch the number 4 ranked team in the country in San Diego State. Utah State is playing probably the best basketball they played in months right now. And, I'm not going to say it's wide open because clearly San Diego State's the favorite. But the fact that San Diego State has struggled recently against Colorado State, and, of course, they lost to UNLV, anything can happen. So the guy we have with us on the line right now, his name is Dan Butterly. He is not only the tournament director of the Mountain West Conference Tournament, but he's also the senior associate commissioner. Dan, I appreciate you taking some time to join us. How are you?
No, it's great to join you, Nate. I think you did hit it. It is wide open this week. That's what's going to make the Mountain West Basketball Championship so exciting here at Thomas Mack.
Yeah, I mean, I think in past years, you said, okay, those are the 2 teams that are definitely going to make the finals, and usually that happens. Obviously, San Diego State is the favorite, but yeah, the reason why I say it's open, first of all, you look at the standings from 2 to 5 or 3 to 5. I mean, they're so close, number 1, and number 2, the fact that UNLV just beat San Diego State speaks volumes, and I don't think San Diego State's playing their best basketball certainly right now. So I think it's going to be very interesting. Let me start by asking you this. There's not a lot, but there are some people in the Mountain West, some coaches particularly, that think that UNLV has an unfair advantage because this tournament every year is at the Thomas and Mack. What do you say to that?
I would tell you, we have discussions with our coaches annually, and I think this group of coaches doesn't feel that way at all. I think when you come to the Thomas and Mack Center, you see a different court. You see a lot of different things that we do here at the Mountain West to not take away the home court advantage, but really make it feel like an NCAA tournament type setting here at Thomas and Mack. Obviously, people have talked about when the last time UNLV has won it. I think this may be one of the more competitive teams that UNLV's had in quite a long time. But the coaches, when I've spoken with the coaches meeting, they love playing at Thomas and Mack. They love the facilities that are available to them here with Cox Pavilion, the Mendenhall Center for practice facilities. This is a great setting for them, and we do everything we can to make sure it's a level playing field for everyone.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you, Dan. I mean, the former Wyoming coach, Larry Shiat, was one of the biggest non-supporters of having the tournament here, if you recall. But you're right. A lot of the coaches today, and I think they also love coming to Las Vegas. It's a great place to be, and we're very thankful that the tournament is here. Let me ask you this. The fact that the T-Mobile Arena will now be open for play next year, are you guys in any talks of maybe moving this tournament, not moving it outside of Las Vegas, but maybe to another venue?
No, at this point, we are contracted with Thomas and Mack Center through 2023. We've had a great long-term partnership here with UNLV. We love the people at Thomas and Mack Center. They treat us first class. They know our tournament, and they do everything they can every year to make our tournament even a little bit better. So, our coaches really like being here. We've talked about other facilities in the Mountain West. We talked about other facilities here in Las Vegas. But just because of the complex that we've got here, it's really it's an advantage when you've got 22 teams coming in, because you remember we got 11 women's teams and 11 men's teams that all need a game site and all their practice facilities. This provides a set opportunity.
Yeah, no question. Again, if you're just joining us, Dan Butterly, he's the tournament director of the Mountain West Conference Tournament. Women's play has already started. The men start play on Wednesday, the quarterfinals Thursday. So the one criticism I've heard, at least this year and in past years, is that, gosh, this Mountain West Conference men's a conference, they're just not getting enough teams into the NCAA tournament. I remember 7 to 8 years ago, you had 4 or 5 teams into the tournament. We just haven't had that since then. And now the question is, okay, well, San Diego State, we all know no matter what happens in this tournament, they're in. Utah State is kind of on the bubble. I think Joe Lenardi said yesterday that he's like the last four in would maybe be Utah State. Can you talk a little bit about that? And why is it you think that there's just not the number of teams past several years that you've had, say, than 7-8 years ago?
Yeah, 2013, you're right. 2013, we had 5 teams in the NCAA tournament. It was the most we'd ever had in our history. And we've had kind of a lull here. We've gotten to, when you had the Steve Alfords, the Lon Krugers, guys with some very good experience coming into programs in the Mountain West and really helped build the league to that stature. And we've hired some younger coaches, some really great young coaches that are learning how to become head coaches during that time period since 2013, 2014. So we have gone kind of a little bit of a youth movement in the Mountain West, but you can see now that we are getting more recognition. We've got 6 teams in the top 100 in the net rankings for the first time since probably that 2012-13 season.
Yeah.
So the league is improving. The quality of the programs is improving. Our recruiting is improving, and our institutions are really putting the resources towards men's basketball that they need to put, and we put a big emphasis on that since 2017. And I think this season we're having a really good season, and I think we do have multiple teams that will get in the NCAA tournament this year. But I'm really excited about 2020, 2021 season as well. If these student athletes stay in the league, we got some great young talent in the Mountain West.
And I agree with you. There are some good young teams. I'm really impressed with Steve Alford and what he's done with Nevada this year. Obviously, Colorado State is better than expected, and quite frankly, if I do say so myself, UNLV is better than expected, and I think T.J. Otzelberger and his coaching staff have done a very good job. Now, this might be a difficult question for you to answer. I don't know if you want to answer it. Best case scenario for the Mountain West Conference for you guys, right? Best case scenario for the league, I would assume, with that San Diego State does not win this tournament. You get another team to win the tournament, then you have a lock, right, of 2 teams that are in the NCAA tournament, and maybe sprinkle a couple teams in the NIT. Do you think that's fair?
I think obviously you want the best team to win. So if it's San Diego State, it's San Diego State. I think Utah State, we've put together some significant arguments for why Utah State should be in. I think you referenced it earlier. They're probably playing their best basketball of the season at this point. And really, this starting lineup that they're playing right now has only been together the last 14 games. I mean, this was a team that last year dominated the Mountain West, and they're just now getting healthy. So I think you look at that, but it's exactly it. We want to make sure that we've got teams in a position for the NIT. We seem to be struggling to get teams to the NIT recently because they've gone to more of an automatic bid system. If a team wins their regular season and don't win their tournament, they get an automatic bid in there. So it's really limited the NIT opportunities. You want to get as many teams as you can in the NCAA, but we also want to get as many teams in the NIT, and I think we've got a number of teams worthy to get in there if they don't win the tournament as well.
So one of those teams that I actually believe is probably in the NIT is UNLV. They're 17-14. They've got that big win over San Diego State, in San Diego. What do you think about that? Do you think that UNLV right now is set up to make the NIT?
I think they're good enough to make the NIT, and what we're going to be tracking, it's funny how you track teams that are winning their automatic bids to the NCAA tournament, but you're also tracking teams that don't win their tournament that won their regular season, because that takes out those NIT automatic qualifying opportunities. So generally, it's anywhere between 10 and 14 teams don't win their conference tournament, and they get that guaranteed slot in the NIT. So the more of those bids that are taken up, the less opportunities you have. I think UNLV is definitely worthy. I think Colorado State's played well. Nevada, Boise State, obviously, if Utah State doesn't get that bid, they obviously should be in there. So we've got 4 to 5 teams, and this is a year I think we're really 6 deep when it comes to NCAA and NIT consideration. It's the first time probably since that 2012-13 season that we've got that many teams that should be at very high postseason opportunities.
Dan, switching gears on you a little bit, of course, the international as well as national focus on the coronavirus, what it has impacted, particularly from an athletic standpoint. There's been, particularly in some Asian countries, there's been some sports that have been affected. What is the viewpoint of the Mountain West with respect to that and precautions that are being taken as we embark on just a couple of days until the tournament takes place?
Absolutely. Obviously, a lot of news on the coronavirus, and we're tracking things just as anybody else is. I mean, I think this is an unusual year for the Mountain West. We're playing a week earlier than we normally would play. So I think we're in a much better position than maybe other conference tournaments or the NCAA down the road as the potential may impact them even more than it does the Mountain West at this point. But obviously, we're tracking it, we're monitoring it, we're actively in discussions with obviously the campus here at UNLV to make sure that should anything arise, we're fully aware of it, and we've got an action plan in place as needed.
You know, Dan, based on this conversation, you have a really good idea as far as the team, the actual rosters for the teams. For example, Utah State just now being healthy. One team that's missing a player is San Diego State. They're missing Nathan Mensah, who I think is probably the key piece to make them a possible Final Four team. What do you know about Nathan Mensah? Is he going to come back soon? And if he does come back, do you think that San Diego State has a chance to win it all?
I absolutely do think so. Yes, I think that if he does come back, it provides them that center presence, that defensive presence in the post. When you go and are in a position to play those dominant teams from the East, you want to make sure you've got every player healthy as you possibly can. There is a difference between East Coast basketball and West Coast basketball, and we've got to be as strong as we can from the West. And the West really has not been strong in the NCAA tournament over the years. Gonzaga's had some good, obviously got to the Final Four, but before that it may have been UCLA in 2008 or somewhere around there.
Yep.
So you definitely got to have everybody you can at that point. I know that San Diego State's really making sure that they're being cautious with him. This is a student athlete that's had some health issues, and they're not just going to run him out there to try to win a title. They want to make sure they do what's best for him, and that's all we can ask for the Mountain West as well. We want to make sure that Nathan Mensah is definitely healthy, and when he's ready to play, he could be as good as he is.
Well, there's no question. Let me just say this. You guys do a phenomenal job putting this tournament on every year. I always look forward to covering it. I forget that I'm actually working because I'm having so much fun watching these games, Dan. But I want to say this. Some of the
I'm the same way. Just so you know, I'm sitting there, of course, I'm the same way.
Well, you guys gave me a seating assignment several years back. I was sitting next to Reggie Miller. He was watching the two semifinal games with me, and he said he was going to be broadcasting the finals. I'm sitting next to a living legend, Reggie Miller. I'll say this year, if you want to sit me next to Steve Lapis, I will settle for that, okay?
I'll tell you what, I love Lap. I mean, we implemented the shot tracker system last year.
He's awesome.
At the Mountain West tournament. I was listening to Lapis use that shot tracker system. I went up to him. I said, "Man, you are good, but when you add that dynamic to it, I could listen to you all day."
He's funny.
I understand your comment.
He's got a great sense of humor, and he does a great job. And a lot of those CBS guys do a good job, and so do you. You guys at the Mountain West, like I said, you guys put on a great event every year. We're very lucky to have you guys put on this tournament here, and we will see you. I will actually be there on Wednesday. Before we let you go, quickly, give out the information. How do people buy tickets? Give us a little bit of the scheduling before we let you go.
Here in Las Vegas, they can get tickets through UNLV Tickets. They come up to Thomas and Mack, go to UNLV Tickets. Outlets, go to UNLVtickets.com or call the UNLV Tickets 800 number to get that as well. We make it easy. We try to make it affordable. We don't want to gouge fans. We want fans in the Thomas and Mack. Today, we've got the women's quarterfinals that start here in, I think, about 15 minutes. We had 3 great women's games yesterday. Tomorrow night's the women's semifinals. On Wednesday, you hit it. We hit the 3 first-round men's games on Wednesday, and you can see the women's championship game on Wednesday night. Then we get into the quarterfinals on Thursday, the semifinals on Friday, which is probably our biggest night of the Mountain West Championship. If there's a night that you're looking to come over Friday night because it's going to be a great night of 2 games. And then our men's championship game is Saturday at 2:37 p.m. Here at the Thomas and Mack, and the game will also be broadcast on CBS. So we are really kicking off the month of March. Here at Thomas and Mack.
Always a great environment. I always look forward to those Wyoming fans, and particularly that one fan that is naked, that is wearing the tin can around his waist. That is always yes.
It's a barrel. That's not a tin can, Brian. Come on now.
It looks like a tin can, just an enlarged version. Hey, Dan, thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Look forward to the games. We'll be there on Wednesday. Thank you, sir.
You got it. Be sure to say hello when you come over, and we'd love to see as many fans over here as we can.
I will. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dan.
Appreciate that. That is Dan Butterly. Thank you. That is Dan Butterly, the tournament director for the Mountain West Conference, also the senior associate commissioner as well. So we appreciate him taking some time to join us. Let me just say this real quickly. The difference between a decent UNLV season and a really good UNLV season, in my personal opinion, rides on the game Thursday night.
Yep.
If you lose to Boise State, you say to yourself, yeah, not a bad year, you know. I think he did better than people expected. We look forward to next year. So it's not like it's negative, right? But if he wins on Thursday and makes the semifinals of the Mountain West Conference tournament, you obviously make the case 100%. They're an NIT team. See, the problem is if you lose Thursday, there's no guarantee you're an NIT team, right? Right? You agree?
I mean, I think they win Thursday.
But it's not a guarantee.
Yeah,
It's not a guarantee they're in the NIT
I
now,
would say
if
it's
they-
still a
if they
guarantee. I would
lose.
say it's guaranteed.
If they lose?
If they win. I mean, if they lose, yeah. If San Diego State, no, that's if San Diego State wins the Mountain West
So
Conference Championship.
you think it's a guarantee they're in the NIT?
Brian, they have
No
the,
matter what?
They have the biggest road win in college basketball all year. They unseated and undefeated
Who else did they beat
San Diego
this
State
year?
team.
They beat Utah State at home. That's
doesn't
it.
make a difference.
What do you mean it doesn't make a difference?
I think they've won.
Of course it makes a difference.
They've won 8 of their last 10 games. Haven't they?
You look at resume.
You look at you look at the body of work towards the end of the season. It's not about the start of the season. It's all about the end of the season. How's the team playing
But what
now?
do you mean that the selection committee also takes into account the whole season?
Again, I think that UNLV is still an NIT team, even if they lose to Boise State.
Okay.
But they're going to beat Boise State because Boise State isn't that good. They're not very tough. And
Okay.
They don't play well
So
defensively.
I'm going
this
to-
UNLV team plays really solid team defense.
I'm going to
and
disagree.
They're doing enough offensively to win these type of games.
I don't know if they make the NIT.
That's fine.
But I don't
If they
know.
win Boise-
All
the
I'm
Boise State
trying,
game, right?
What I'm definitely trying to say is that if they beat Boise State on Thursday, they are 100%
So
an NIT team.
you're saying
Oh.
that Thursdays game is the season, basically, is what you're
That's
saying.
not what I said.
It'll define how good the season is. Is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is this. I'm not saying it defines the entire. What I am saying is it could change from not a bad year to a great year.
Yeah.
Because you make the semifinals of the tournament. Nothing. You don't want to celebrate a season when you lose in the the first game of the Mountain West Conference tournament. At the same time, you say, well, he did a good job with what he had, and I'm perfectly okay with that. All I'm saying is this is an enormous game for you.
It's definitely a big. But hey,
it's a big game.
How good was Dan Butterly? He knew all about the conference. He knew all about the teams.
Yeah.
Usually a commissioner or a director, they're very political in their answers. He actually broke down why some teams are good and why some teams aren't. I really enjoyed that interview with Dan Butterly.
And you tossed an individual player at him from an individual team, and he waxed poetic on it.
Absolutely.
So that was pretty impressive.
I had to do that.
I look forward to meeting him. We'll all meet him.
Yeah, me too.
On Wednesday. That'll be a lot of fun. I will be there for the playing games because it's college basketball. Why would I miss that?
Yeah.
We have the West Coast Conference Tournament, which starts on Thursday. What a monster league that is now. BYU is a top 25 team in the country. They beat Gonzaga. They are capable of beating Gonzaga in Las Vegas.
BYU can beat a lot of teams.
They
in the
are
country.
excellent.
They
And
are unbelievable.
their
And
coach-
Yoli Childs is having a
It shows you.
huge year
It shows
right
you.
now.
Everyone said Dave Rose, what a great coach. I never said he was a great coach. You got this young kid coming in here from another university, and he's done a phenomenal job taking over the program. Anyway, quickly. Again, the games will be Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to give you my prediction, and JD's going to disagree with me on this one. I hope I'm wrong, but I think Boise State gets UNLV on Thursday. Chris, you're.
I think UNLV handles them pretty easily. We have a blueprint already from less than a week ago where Boise State was down 30 at one point in a game against UNLV. It's not
Listen.
like the personnel hasn't changed, right, Brian? Has the personnel changed?
UNLV
Is there
beat-
anything that's different about the two teams?
UNLV beat Utah State by 30 at the MAC. So I mean, anything could happen here. All I'm saying is this:
I'm basing it off of a very recent game in which both teams played each other.
Listen, Alston is the key to this game. He had arguably his worst game of the year.
He did.
Okay.
Alston had a terrible game against San Diego State a couple weeks before that. Alston is 6'9", 190 pounds. Alston turns the ball over all the time. He doesn't take the. He can't go to the rack with strength. He doesn't know how to draw fouls. Yeah, he's a good talent,
I'll
but
tell
he's
you
not.
this.
He's not good. I mean, I think Bryce Hamilton is a significantly better player and a stronger player and a better athlete than Derek Alston.
I'll tell you
is.
this much. I love betting on games.
Yeah.
I will not be placing any wagers on the UNLV Boise State game because I really don't know for sure how this is going to go. Let's take a quick
I'm
break.
thinking probably -4 UNLV will be the spread.
I don't think so. I think it'll be a pick 'em. I disagree with you. But and Boise might even be favored by 1 or 2. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it is our producer, Jason Stein's favorite portion of the show, and that is hate mail. That's coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
Wheel of Fortune slots make more millionaires more often. Will you be next? Play Wheel of Fortune at your favorite casino today. Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Califon Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Monday. It's our favorite segment, or I shouldn't say
the
it's
best
ours.
segment ever, Brian.
It's not my favorite segment, but it's Jason Stein, our producer. It's his favorite segment. It's a segment we like to call Hate Mail. Jason, take her away.
Okay, it's not really hate mail, but it's the comments that scroll alongside our YouTube page. But we call it hate mail. Here we go. From someone that identifies himself as that Jewish guy. Brian looks crustier than the homeless man who asked for me. Sorry.
He can't even get through it. It's so funny he can't get through
Brian
it.
looks crustier than the homeless man who asked me for money this morning.
And I will guarantee you that this guy did not give him any money. I can guarantee you that.
Because he's Jewish?
I didn't say that. You said that, not me. I didn't say that.
I'm asking.
Why would you make a generalization like that?
I don't know.
That's
do you
a
think
horrible
this
thing to say.
person who calls
Are you
himself
an
JD, Jewish on Jewish cracks going on over here.
Are you an anti-Semite?
Yeah, pretty
Why
much,
would you say something like that?
Do
That's
you-
not
do
funny.
you- hang on.
No,
Do
you hang on. Why would you attack Jewish people and make a statement like that?
Because
That's
I
very
know how you think. That's why.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
you're the one who said it. I didn't think
Do
like
you
that.
think that
No,
someone
Brian,
who calls
you're an
himself...
anti-Semite.
Time out.
You're
Time
the
out.
one that said that he didn't give him any money.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Hitler in studio now. Why would you make a statement like that?
Do you think that Jewish guy, someone who calls himself that Jewish guy, do you think is really Jewish, or do you think that person is trying to make fun of Jewish people?
I haven't even thought that far ahead. You're getting way too into the weeds on this one. Just read the next one.
Okay,
you
well,
can.
that
you
Jewish
anti-Semite.
that Jewish guy actually had a couple good comments. So I'm
Okay,
going to read
fine.
a couple more from the same person.
Thank goodness.
That
Yeah.
Jewish guy also wrote, Brian looks like a fungus. And
That
look,
makes sense because I'm growing on him because he happens to listen to the show and watch it every day. So yeah, he makes a great point. I am a fungus.
And look, it's Dumb and Dumber, the real version.
That's not even funny.
That's funny. Come on.
Not funny at all.
Someone who calls themselves Dana writes, there must be surgery that can remove that whiny out of Brian's voice.
I wonder if there's a surgery that could get Dana out of her mom's basement and actually get a job and do something with her life. Is there a surgery for that? I don't think there is. Why is your mic off now, you moron? Turn your mic on.
Did I do that?
You make anti-Semitic remarks and you turn your mic off with your stupid
the board
coffee mug.
The board up's gone. Look.
You know, you're insulting my co-host. What did you call? You call my co-host dense? What's wrong with you today?
There she is.
You make anti-Semitic remarks.
I got dense, aloof, dumb, stupid, ridiculous.
I didn't say that.
We got a ton of hate mail today.
But
from
Brian gave you compliments though. What did Brian say about your physique? He said something about your physique.
I said you were lavish. I gave him a compliment.
He said I was lavish. Well, it's because
I'm never going to get through this with Chris Wynn here.
This Cosmopolitan Hotel shirt, which is a
Don't worry,
lavish.
Chris. There's some hate mail about
me. Really?
We only have a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Someone named Wadate. I mean, Kels. I mean, we're talking like 100 comments from this one person today. So I had to kind of like go down and give the best of this one.
I appreciate the passion.
Wadate says, "Why is Brian wearing sunglasses indoors? What's that all about? Is it the light from the Trump train that's blinding him?"
Ooh.
No, it's not that train. It's the loser train that you get into every morning when you wake up.
That's really good, Wadate.
Go ahead.
Wadate also writes, Brian is a closet gay. That one time he went on and on about Bernie Sanders' private parts. I don't remember that segment.
What is this guy talking about? So this guy is talking about my sexuality and Bernie Sanders' private parts,
I don't remember
but yet
that.
he's calling me gay. Wow, the irony.
JD, did we do a segment on Bernie Sanders' private
No.
parts?
We definitely had. We had a segment one time.
We did a segment on Amy Klobuchar's private parts.
We had a segment on presidential candidates and the size of
Hurry
their
up.
phallus.
30 seconds.
Because Bernie Sanders was talking about being in the bathtub, and then Brian kept asking me questions about who I would vote for based on the size of their genitals.
And there's women,
which has some homosexual undertones to it. So
no, there's women up there too.
I think you're probably right.
No, that's not true. I asked you how big a Klobuchar's penis was. I did ask you
Not
that.
that there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think you did.
There's anything wrong.
20 seconds.
Which is totally fine.
We gotta go.
This is not a Vegas perspective. It's two idiots and a moderate conservative.
All right, we got to go. We're out of time. Chris Wynn talks too much. We got to go.
Yeah.
All right, guys, 21 hours from now, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Sean Hannity next.